Hey there, and welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. I'm Connie Willis, and this, like I said, Blue Rock Talk. This is our signature night, Thursday night. That's where we go, and we do kind of what it was all built for, Earth's most interesting conversations, and that includes people, places, and things. And so, as we learn a new software, and we try to restream this all over my outlets, we are learning as we go along. Let me make sure I got my sound. Yep, we got it. Okay. Excellent. I hope that some of you may be watching today on Facebook, my Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis page, verified page, and also Connie Willis page. I think it's called Public Figure or USA, Connie Willis USA or something like that. So if you are there or on one of my Twitters, then please know that the live chat, because the show is live, please know that the live chat is going to be on YouTube only. Too many live chats out there, too much going on. I can only look at one thing because I'm going to be talking to our guest tonight. So one is enough for sure. All right, so please go over to YouTube if you can and go to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. At that point, that's the live chat that we need you to use. If you have not subscribed, please do. When you do, what that means is you are a blue rocker, and a blue rocker is someone in the know. All right, so I'd love for you to do that because you want to be someone in the know. And let me tell you what you're going to get when you come to Blue Rock Talk if you haven't been here already. And those blue rockers that are already there, go ahead and say hello to the people that are in the chat room and welcome them. I would appreciate that. That's the Blue Rocker way. But again, a blue rocker is someone in the know. That is who has subscribed to Blue Rock Talk. We have Crypto Connie Tuesday, where we talk about cryptocurrencies. And then we, the real deal, right? We're talking the real deal. And then we have Wasted Wednesdays coming up. That's going to be a serious look at the cannabis industry. All right, so that's coming. That may even be a paid membership. I'm not sure. That might be a special Patreon for you. Maybe we'll do something like that for Patreons exclusively. We'll see what you guys think of that comment, or that show in the first place. And then we've got, let's see, Thursdays, Blue Rock Talk. That is our signature night where it could be any interesting conversation out there, from, I always like to say, bees making honey to hybrids and aliens. And then we've got Bigfoot Friday. That speaks for itself. And then on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we have Stan's Bible Lecture. And that is a college level course. It's live as well. You can question him as much as you want. He not only will talk the Bible to you, but he is a former rocket scientist. So he's got interesting ways at looking at them that will make you go, what? So it's really good. That's 2 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. And all the other shows are 10 p.m. Eastern. And I might be changing that in the future, so hang in there. So, again, I think we're on all the formats. If you guys don't mind, I just want to take a look real quick. I want to make sure you can hear me. Okay, sounds like you can hear me. And let me know in the chat room. I have to put my little readers on here if everything's going okay. I hope some of you can let me know if it's working on the Facebook or not. Sorry to be technical with you, but, it's the way it is. Free programming. But good programming at that. So I hope it is making it on the other formats, because that's why I'm doing this. I really want to grow the audience. And, right now we're just about at 13,000 subscribers. So thank you very much. And I really want to grow that, because if I get the sponsors, and that's all based on numbers, then you guys will never have to pay for anything. And that's the whole deal. So, alrighty. Now tonight on Signature Thursday, Far Out Thursday as we like to call it, I've got a guest on that I met a long time ago, and you may know him. I think he's been on Coast to Coast before. He's definitely been around. He's this tough-looking dude, but he loves dresses. I don't know. He'll tell you more about that. We've never forgotten that. It's so funny. All right, let me go ahead and pull him in. He's a friend. He's a wonderful guy. He's intelligent. His name is Chuck Zubowski. And Chuck, let me bring you in here, both of us together, and see if I can't make you look as handsome as ever. There we go. Hey, let's make sure we can hear you too.
Can you hear my voice?
I can, but let's make sure.
Hello, testy.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good.
That would be Chuck Zukowski.
What did I say?
Oh, I don't know. Zukowski. Doesn't matter. I'm somewhere my father just turned over in his grave. But
I thought I said Zukowski. Did I?
No, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I might have said Chuckles.
I just got back from flying. I left my headset on.
Hey, you know what? I don't want, that's so funny. It looks good. I like it.
Oh, yeah. I had another one that actually had Princess Leia, hair on it. I should have worn that one.
That's what I mean by his personality. I bet you do have those, don't you?
No, I don't. No.
They should make those.
I'm just, yes, they should.
You would have them. You would have that pair. So Chuck, we call him Chuckles, and or at least we did a long time ago. I haven't talked to him in a while. We caught back up. I asked if he would be on the show tonight, and we were actually going to do it last week, but I didn't feel so well. So he waited and hung out for this week, so thank you for that. Yeah, maybe. Was that the same night that was tequila night? No, that wasn't the tequila night. No. No, but, I am hoping we're streaming all over, so you're one of my first. I did it 2 nights ago on Crypto Connie Tuesday, and it was just very fun, so I'm hoping that it's happening again. If not, I'll work on it. But now that I know you're pretty good at being technical, I'm going to ask you some questions along the way. Thank you.
Well, yeah, first I have to learn what type of software you're using, but other than that, yeah. This is kind of fun. Well, thank you very much for having me on your, what do you call this? Would this be like a podcast? Would this be like a live stream?
Well, see, now my dad's turning around in his grave. It is it's YouTube is kind of the hub, but it's really a brand. It's YouTube. It's a Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis.
No, I know.
Earth's most interesting conversation. Well, so it's all over. It's a brand. So now, I've been talking to all the consultants. It's like don't pick one hub. It's it's visual, so it's content.
But this would fall under live streaming.
Well, yeah, it would be under live streaming. Yeah. I do some tape things too, but I prefer live streaming because I want to chat with people. I want to get you live. I don't want editing. I don't want any of that. I want people to hear what you have to say immediately.
Censored, right?
That's right. No censor. No censor.
Okay, great. We're ready to go.
I knew you were going to do that. So you guys, Blue Rockers, now you know we're going to have a good time tonight, and that's why we call him Chuckles. He's very intelligent as well, believe it or not. He's a handsome man, a kind man, and he shows it off in a fun way. Yeah, he's not egotistical, which I love. We all love. We're like, oh, good. He doesn't have an attitude. We love it.
Not as far as you know.
But it's very funny. Never that I've seen, and this is the only side I want to see of you. I won't get any closer. So now I don't know. I think it was 10 years ago when we met, and you had
that long?
Maybe longer.
Oh, geez.
You think?
Okay.
Was it longer?
It seems like time's moving awful fast. I'm just wondering if our galaxy is just actually moving faster to the Andromeda galaxy and speed is actually speeding up, our time. I don't know. We'll have to think about that. Maybe I'll blog on that later.
No, that's excellent. I like what you're saying. You're right. You're right on. That would be a good blog. So tell people who you are. I've got a big list here of all the neat things that you're doing, but I prefer hearing that from you, and I'm going to show off your face big time here, let everybody see a close-up of you. And,
don't zoom in too.
There's a close-up.
Oh my God! It was one of the worst times. Was the first time I was on TV and it got to HD, and we're watching. It was just a quick segment on I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a Nat Geo channel or whatever it was. Anyway, Discovery I think it was, and so we have like this 50-inch TV in the family room, and then they zoom out of my face, and I could see every little pocket, see everything, and I'm going, oh, I liked it so much better when it was in high definition.
No, you look great. You really do. And I thank you for being here with us. All I can remember a long time ago when we all met up was, and you reminded me again the other day when we talked, was, I remember going out in the fields with you, you taking us out into fields, because you're into, of course, UFOs, and you're with MUFON and all those types of things, but you really research the cattle mutilations or animal mutilations. You let me know there's a whole lot more than that. However, just briefly before you talk about that, we also got our pictures taken as a group, and he was a chick. That's all.
I'm not afraid of my masculinity.
I know, it was hilarious. It was so funny.
How often do you get to dress up like a woman?
It was those
Except
old
every
West
other
pictures.
Saturday night. But other than that,
it was those old Western pictures. When you guys like go to somewhere out in the West, and you can get a picture of everybody looking out in the West. So it had that history look in it, and that old Western look, and he was a chick. Do you still have that? I tried to find it so I could show you off.
I'm sure it's somewhere.
Yeah,
probably in my photo archives. It was on my last phone, but no, I don't necessarily like to dress like a woman. I ride a Harley. Okay, so we'll just let it.
You knew what you were doing for sure. Okay, so your background, you used to be a deputy sheriff, correct?
Yeah, actually, my background. Started off as a microchip designer and IC mass design engineer, and basically my job is to convert schematics into the graphics of what an actual microchip looks like and make sure that it all works right. And I've worked on stuff that had to do with streaming internet from cell phones to stuff like this to spy satellites, and something as simple as traffic control or signals, And right now, I'm a contractor. I've been contracting for over 20 years now. The problem I've had with salary is when and I'm a field investigator. I'm a UFO paranormal field investigator. What a field investigator does compared to a researcher is a field investigator, obviously, what it sounds like is we go out on the field. We're the detectives that go out there, and you have to adjust your personal life to be able to do stuff like that. You have to have a 4x4, you have to have a winch to get you out of trouble when you get into trouble, and you have to be able to have a job that if you got to roll on something, you have to be able to roll on it pretty quickly without having to worry about losing your job. So about 20 years ago, I decided to go as a contractor, and and it kind of makes you self-employed. Pros and cons, obviously. When there's no work, you have to go find work. But the pros is there was a cattle mutilation earlier this year in April. Well, it was a horse mutilation, and I was able to roll on it pretty quickly in the same day. Even though the horse had been dead for a couple of days or so. So I mean, you have some opportunities to get moving on stuff pretty quick because of that. As for animal mutilations, I've been out here in Colorado about 20 years now, and I researched animal mutilations in California when I used to live in California, in Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach, you were researching it there?
Well, it was basically. When I first started doing this over 30 years ago, I was a crash retrieval type of investigator,
okay.
And we're St. or Gerardo in Missouri, and of course Roswell and Aztec and a few others. I mean, that was originally what I got involved with, and Roswell was pretty close to my reach, being out in California, getting to New Mexico. So I was out in Roswell a few times, and so anyway. You had heard about mutilations, via just research and the UFOs associated with it. And so I was kind of researching on the side, and I never really had an opportunity to roll on a mutilation case until I actually moved out here to Colorado where they were happening. Not too much mutilation cases in Huntington Beach.
That's what I thought, Huntington Beach, exactly.
Yeah, well, maybe people's hair, when they get a cut. Other than that, a bad wipeout or something.
That's a whole other world. True.
But it's what's interesting. I'm gonna move my mic down just a little bit because I hit it with my hand. I've done investigations from from UFOs to abductions to cattle mutilations to Bigfoot to ghosts. Such I don't want to be specialized in any one area because really they're kind of interconnected. They really
Absolutely.
are.
I agree with you. I'm all about
Yeah.
connecting the dots, and I don't want to be in one area either. I mean, you miss so much. You know, you got to listen to other people. You got to get together and hear those stories. It's always hard when people say, you know, I study this, and then you start telling them something else, and they don't want to believe you. And you're thinking, why would you not be open to this? Because it connects. It all connects, you know?
It's kind of fun. I
know.
just started a contract of I think this is my beginning of my third week in this new contract, and this particular contract's kind of fun because I worked with these guys way in the past, probably about 8 years ago, and so I come back and I go, hey, you know, we saw you on TV a couple of times, and hey, how's that this and how's that, and they were pretty excited, not so much about me working for their company, but they were, you know, I've been having people coming up to my office and, you know, asking me questions about UFOs and cattle mutilations and all kinds
absolutely.
of, you know, it's a lot of fun. And it's more fun for me when you get people like that are interested. Yeah. And then, of course, you have the naysayers, you know, and the skeptic debunkers, you know, that, humbug, you know. Well,
yeah.
We get Scrooges in every type of, you know, situation, but that's okay because that just makes you as an investigator a little bit better. Now, you know, I've been married 30 years, and and my wife's a skeptic. Yeah.
Is she? Well, golly, she's already got to deal with you every day. Now she's got you doing UFO and Bigfoot stuff, and you know. But how does she feel when you show her the evidence from the cattle mutilations, the pictures that you have for us to look at? I mean, at that point,
over the years now, she's kind of like, okay, yeah, there's something going on there.
That's cool.
But the best part about it, you know, is you know, when you deal with skeptics. Debunkers are different. You can't really deal too much with a debunker because, you know, they have their own agenda. Either they're purposely trying to diffuse a situation or whatever, or not diffuse it, but, you know, eliminate the situation, or they're just not smart enough to, you know, to research it. But skeptic, you know,
I like skeptic
that. Sometimes it's, you know, they're just skeptic. You know, you can deal with a lot of smart people, and they can, you know, and they're skeptics, and as an investigator, and my website's UFOnut.com, and I've had that for about 18 years, and I called it UFO Nut because people were calling me a nut all the time. I decided to roll with it and just have fun with it. Yeah. But, you know, I do the investigations basically for myself to try and find out for myself what's going on out there, and then I share it with the public. And I don't really have to convince anybody. You know, when they say, well, convince me, I said, no. You know, that's not up to me to convince you. It's, you know, I put the information out on my website, or I freely talk about it on you know, live streams like the one we're doing here with Connie, and it's up to, you know, the viewers or the listeners to make up their own minds, and hopefully, you know, they may or may not come over to the dark side, but that's okay because sometime down the road they'll see a situation or hear about a situation and they'll think about it. They'll think about the time they heard something on Connie's show or they heard something on Coast to Coast, and they'll go, huh, I kind of remember hearing something like that, and here I'm seeing this now, or here I'm reading it now. So sometimes it all comes back together, and that's the best we can hope for.
Yeah, you know, it's totally true. When I was growing up, we were in a haunted house. You know, not everybody in the house saw it. Well, it wasn't nice to me. I was scared out of my mind every night. I never slept until the first night of college in the dorm. I woke up the next morning going, I feel great, because there was nothing there, right? You know, you don't know. Now, were you in a haunted house growing up?
No. Yeah, actually. Yeah. Actually, in Missouri, well, we were in a Civil War house. We rented for a while, and that was pretty cool. Okay, what
age were you?
Oh, God, I was middle school, so I'm guessing, you know, 11, 12, somewhere around there.
Okay, so, but you varied, like, we grew up in this house, and I didn't know any different. I didn't know that nobody else had something, you know, that anybody else, I thought everybody's house had something walking around in it that you couldn't see. You know, you don't know that, right? And then you go to other people's homes and, wow, this feels different here. You know, you start when you're a kid, this is my experience. As a kid, when I knew there was something looking at me, when I knew there was something in the corner, when I knew something was downstairs, you know, I would run the other way. If I knew if it was upstairs, I ran the other way. You know, if I was laying there sleeping in bed and I felt something looking over and down at me, I'd just cover up. There's nothing else I could do. Yeah, nothing else you can do. But when you feel that all your life, you really do pick up learning about ambiance, and because you want to know where that thing is. At least I did, so I could be on the other side of the house. Right? It scared me. I didn't know what it was. Now, looking back at it later, I know it wasn't evil, because when I felt evil before, that's not what that was. But as a kid, it's scary. What is that? I know it's right next to me. I know it's looking at me. I know it's over there. I know it's over here. I know it followed me. But you don't know what it is. And by the way, it's no longer there at the house. When I went back to help my mom out, it wasn't there anymore. So I don't know if it was kind of my dad had passed, so I don't know if he took it with him, or if it was maybe his mother that was, you know, hanging out in the house, checking out the grandkids, or who knows. But that is what also opens you up, or at least me, to other things out there that are just other than ghosts. So that's where it kind of led to other things for me, and where you had stated sometimes you'll hear a little something here and you'll hear a little something there. And when you do hear these other things on Coast to Coast or here or with you, you know, sometimes you go, no, that's just too deep for me. No way. When I first heard about the hybridization project, come on, hybridization project? No way. And then you hear, you know, Dr. David M. Jacobs telling it, you're going, wow. And then you start investigating yourself, and you start getting into it further, and you talk to people, and things happen, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you go deeper and deeper, correct? And that was right around the time where I think I might have met you and these cattle mutilations.
Well, might as well
That's
be a
horrible.
mutilation.
It is a mutilation. Yeah, that word works.
That word does work. Yeah, you know, with me, it's with you, it was kind of like ghosts. With me, it was like aliens. As you know, as far back as I can remember, I just knew that life existed outside this planet. I just knew. Sure. And
but did you originally think what you thought, what most people think is ghost, is an alien?
No.
Or you know the difference?
I'm a little different, because from a very young age, I was able to look at the world differently. And I remember after elementary school, and this is in a little town, Safford, Arizona. After elementary school, I would go to catechism. Basically, catechism is just, you know, this is daycare, basically, that you don't have to pay for. But, a bus picks you up and takes you to a Catholic church while your parents are still working, 8 to 5, and they pick you up afterwards. But I would get in trouble there because I would question the nuns. And they'd be teaching us, and I'd say, no, that's not right. And they go, well, no, that's right. This is what it is. This is what it says. I said, no, it's more. It's bigger. It's bigger than this. And I remember I was always getting in trouble with it. Well, it wasn't until years and years later, as we're adults, that the more we talked to my mom. My mom had an experience when she was really young, and then my aunt had an experience too where they actually saw grays. So we have that, what I should say, that connection, at least in my family. And I can't tell you for sure whether or not I actually saw something when I was very young, but I just knew it always existed. Now, when it comes to ghosts, I have a different feeling about that, and I was on Ghost Adventures because we did one episode, I think it was about a year or so ago. I did an investigation in a Phoenix gold mine out here in Idaho Springs. Ghost seems like such a, I don't know, it's almost as if you're, I don't want to say tacky word, but you're labeling. You're labeling the spirits by saying they're ghosts, and when people hear the word ghost, they're going, "Oh, it must be scary." But what if it's your grandma and she's just coming over just to check up on you? Is that a scary ghost? Should I be considered a ghost, or is I be considered a spirit, or life form? Now, what I've learned from doing and I haven't done a lot of them. I've done a few, I've got some EVPs, and I've got some interconnection or intercommunication, between me and the other side. Very intelligent. So you have to think about now when you pass and you cross over that you live on, and that force is basically just checking up on who's left over here or for whatever, we don't know. But now, granted, if you're a scary guy, in real life, living here on the planet, and you die, then you might be scary in the afterwards. So,
Yes.
I'm not going to say that there's not, demons out there. There surely is. But the majority of people, like when you get scraped, you see those TV shows where someone touches another, they get touched by a ghost, and Zach's really good about this with Ghost Adventures. Oh, you leave me alone, you leave Aaron alone. They got scratch marks, and those aren't scratch marks. You see, what we do is when we investigate the afterlife, ghosts, you want to call it spirits, we use EMF meters, and EMF meters, electromagnetic field, and the apparitions or the ghosts, they emit electromagnetic field, and we pick it up. Now, if electromagnetic fields are very high in voltage current, basically it's the same thing as if you walk on a carpet during a lightning storm and you touch another person, you zap them and you can actually leave a burn on them. That's all they're doing. So a spirit just may be trying to touch you, not trying to claw you, just touch you, and just the energy of them touching you could cause the mark. So it may not be demonic all the time. It just may be just something from them trying to touch you.
When you say that you were on Ghost Hunters recently?
Ghost Adventurers.
Ghost Adventurers. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, they're the creepier ones.
Yeah, that's Zach and Aaron and those guys.
Yeah, how is he doing?
It was fun. It was what was kind of fun about that was he's chicken.
Is he chicken now? I mean,
no, he is.
You think he's chicken all the time?
not so much when it comes to ghosts, but there's other things that, and I shouldn't say that. I mean, he's a nice guy, but I had some fun with him. We were about 100 feet back into a gold mine, and I picked up some Tommy Knocker knocks when I was there a year before, and so while I was on camera saying, hey, and I picked up these Tommy Knocker knocks, and it sounded like this, and I bam, 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 I hit the side of this big, railroad tie. That's one of the braces, and he turned just white. Don't do that! Don't do that! This whole thing will come down on us. And he bolted.
So he was afraid of it falling down. He wasn't afraid of a ghost. The Tommy Knocker.
He's afraid of. I personally think he's afraid of coasts or closed areas. I think he's claustrophobic, because I could see that when he was in the cave, he was kind of nervous and he was jittering back and forth. And and then when I tapped on the the railroad tie, it really freaked him out. And Aaron had to finish the interview with me, and I was kind of laughing. And then we had another interview out there, but so it's kind of nice to know that. Yeah, and I have my fears too. I come across as a big badass on TV, but we all have our fears, and ghosts are my fear, and only because of spirits. It's only because that's something that you can't physically. I thought about how I can do it, but you can't physically combat that if you come across a negative entity.
Yeah.
It's not someone that you can, like a Bigfoot. You can always kick them in the nards and run.
I'd like to see a video of that.
But and alien.
You headbutt him.
Well, you're not really headbutting his head.
Yeah, I know.
9 feet tall, you'd be headbutting his kneecap. Or,
they don't call him for Bigfoot for nothing there.
That's right. That's right. And so anyway, those things, they're physical. You can touch.
Right.
When you redo ghost investigations or spirit investigations, however you want to call it, that you can't, and you have to be very, very careful about what you do.
Some people see them. Some people see them.
Oh, no, they do. Yeah, my sister Debbie, she's seen them in the past. Mm-hmm. We were doing a UFO investigation over in San Luis Valley, and we were in a Jeep, and it was about 1:30 in the morning, and I had a camera out there, and we had 2 spirits walk up on us and look in the windows of the Jeep. And I didn't see it, my sister did, though. But I was kind of snoozing anyway. My camera was going anyway, so I was filming the San Luis Valley looking for UFOs. And she's out of the pair of us, she's the very intuitive, and I'm very analytical. So, we're like negative and positive, and we work really well together because of that. But sometimes you can step over the line too and do some other goofy things. So for all you people out there that are thinking about doing anything like this, I'm not saying not to do it. I'm saying is do a lot of research first, and just to see what you're getting into, because you can get into. I've been in situations where you're going, am I ever going to get out of the situation? Am I going to be able to see the sunset? Sunset tonight, or will I be able to see the sunrise tomorrow? Yes. And you got to be really, really careful. And it takes a while to do that, though. But I encourage it, no doubt.
Yeah. You're right, too. Go out with people, especially if you're new to it. Go out with people, whatever you're going to study, that's already been there. When people move around and they say, hey, they'll contact me, hey, Connie, do you know, I just moved to so-and-so. Do you know groups of people there? Well, maybe, but maybe not. Google and I always hate to tell people to Google it, because I've always hated when people tell me to Google it, because I'm trying to make a relationship with them. Like, remember relationships? Don't tell me Google it. But you can, obviously go with other people, especially if you don't know what it is. Let other people teach you the areas. Of course, you don't want to give away all your areas and all your secrets either. But, I've been, just as a kid with the ghost thing, I never knew if I was going to make it the next morning. That's how scary it would get along the way. And that's where, from there, the aliens were next to me. That was what it was next. But it took a while before the hybridization project, because I just didn't hear it at that time. Never thought of Bigfoot. Never thought of Bigfoot ever. Just never thought of Bigfoot. Remember reading a book when I was 6. I was one of those kids that read books really early in life and just couldn't get enough, And I remember reading one, I think it was called Yeti. And that's really to the extent of it, but it is amazing that I had that book at 6 and read the whole thing, and it was kind of weird. But here's the stranger thing, you move away from where you grew up, you come back, the house was no longer haunted, and this was in Louisville, Kentucky, okay? So there's something called Waverly Hills there, right? One of the most haunted places. Never even heard of it as a kid. How did I not hear about that when we were growing up? We were pretty cool and hip kids in high school. We went and did all sorts of neat things, groups of us, really fun type things. How did we not know about that? Or at least I didn't know about that. And never heard of Bigfoot ever at that point. However, Kentucky's full of them. They're everywhere. And the places that I went when I had gone back recently, they're like places you drive by all the time. They're places that are right off the road. They're state parks. They're national parks. This is where you guys go for, just hiking the trails. They're there.
They're watching.
They're there, and they're everywhere, and the proof is amazing. The evidence is there. You just have to look for it and be open-minded to it, too. A lot of people, as you say, the debunkers and the skeptics, they're still like, no, they could have never done this. Somebody else did this. Well, who in the middle of the night decided to come here with a whole bunch of people and lift this log and do this and do that? You do have to kind of slow down and look at it yourself, too. Make sure there isn't any type of hoax type of things. But it's during all that time, this interested me, that interested me, this interested me, and I just started seeing them all come together, and just as you, and it was amazing. Now, I was also, they did something called Hunt for the Next Ghost Hunter a long time ago. And I was up for that. I was in the top 25. Do you remember that for ghost hunters?
Yeah, I remember that.
So I was in the top 25, and I was no longer in radio or television at the time. I was kind of in between things. And that's where, you can get a big audience, right? Because it was all about voting. So darn it, I think some cop guy or somebody ended up getting that position because they called up all the cops to vote for them, across the country. It was something like that. But that kind of bummed me out.
Darn those cops.
But I did, but I get to meet all the guys and things like that, and that was really cool. But you said something else too. The Phoenix gold mines, right?
Yeah, the Phoenix gold mine is in Idaho Springs.
I've been there. I got this giant rock that I use to hold doors and things like that from there. Really incredible place. So that's one of the things I want to do, Chuck, is go into these gold mines and see what's going on, because I've heard so many times of these lights. So you've been in them. Tell me what you think they are. Are they I know there's a name for them, the Tommy knockers, but are they ghosts? Are they alien? Because I kind of think they might be alien.
You know, it's kind of interesting. It depends on who you talk to, when you talk about aliens. If you talk with the Native Americans, they have a different aspect, a different, you know. Oh, what's that? Up, down.
The camera, just the camera. I was trying to be slick about it, but I forgot the camera's on me too. Like,
you want me to move the camera down or up?
Down.
Or you want me to quit slouching?
Down. Yeah, that. All of a sudden, you look great. Perfect.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Trying to make you look good.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have to.
Okay.
The Native Americans, at least, you know, I've talked with Apache and I've talked with Navajo in the Four Corner regions out here, and they talk about 4 species of aliens, or 4 species of other than humans, you should say, living on this planet. And they talk about the blues, and the blues are about 2 feet tall, and they take care of the planet. Those would be the Tommy knockers,
the blues,
you know, the elves, the Menehune that people see in Hawaii, and then they talk about the ant people, which would be the Greys. Now, they don't call them ant people because of the eyes. That's something totally different. It's only because the ant people came out of the ground. The blues came out of the mountains. So the ant people came out of the ground. So the Greys, and that would make sense because, you know, we've done a lot of investigations, and of course, I'm sure you've heard about all alien bases and stuff underground. So that kind of makes sense. And then the reptilians, they actually called the snake people, and they were taller. And the snake people were the ones that they were more afraid of. The ant people, the Greys, they kind of had their own agenda and just do whatever they needed to do. And if you saw them, fine. If you didn't see them, fine. They could care less. Sort of like what's happening right now. Yeah, sort of like what's happening now. It's you know, if people are looking for just, you know, disclosure when they come land on the front, you know, on the White House lawn. The Greys aren't going to do that because, you know, as far as I know, it's my experience, they're the worker bees and they have their own agenda.
Yeah. Are they? Do you even think they're alive, or do you think they're robotic? Some people think they're robotic.
I think they're alive. I think they're alive. I think they're just, you know, that's just bred into them. Mm-hmm. That's what they do, and because they do deviate from. They've been hired. Well, they do deviate from whatever they're doing, and that goes with Travis Walton. You know, they didn't leave Travis Walton there to die. They picked him up, and right. So they do deviate from whatever they're doing. So there is a consciousness that they do have, but you know, they may be at this level of thinking where, you know, for all the people out there that are watching this, if you're married to an engineer or you know an engineer, they're very, very focused, and sometimes you can't talk to them because they're too focused.
That's true.
On what they're doing. Well, if you have a Grey like that, they're just kind of focused on what they're doing. And
that's right.
Yeah, and
they're just doing their gig. They're just doing their. They don't care. They have no emotion. They have no feeling. Whatever. I'm going to yank you. I'm going to take you in here. We're going to take off your clothes. We're going to do an anal probe, like South Park kid Cartwright would say, and then we're going to put you back. We don't care. Yeah. Sorry that we invaded you.
I was going to say the fourth person. The fourth one they talk about is what we consider the Pleiadians, or the tall blondes, or you know, whatever you want to call them, the Nordics, and those are the guys that they have like a condo here, and basically they just show up every now and then. They keep everything in check. So I mean, and I've talked to a couple different Native American tribes. I mean, people from different tribes that share that same knowledge. Now, I'm not saying there's only 4. I'm not saying that there, you know, that even 4 exist, but that's within their culture. And it's kind of interesting that they don't really refer to them as aliens. The star travelers, the aliens, are the Nordics, the tall blondes, the ones that come down from the stars. You know, the reptilians, the Greys, and then, you know, the blues, or, you know, the elves, and, you know, and the Tommy knockers. You know, they've always been. They're
all
here.
I gotcha.
And I mean, of course, they may come and go, and we don't, I'm sure they, at least the Greys and everything, they can come and go as they please, but they don't make that grand entrance.
Yeah, right.
Like the Nordics do. And
the other ones are flipping you off as they come in. Hey,
yeah, well, like the blues, it's you hear it's really funny. I was on a radio show in Ireland, and there was two disc jockeys, DJs. One was a skeptic and one wasn't. And the one that was a skeptic was harassing me, about aliens and everything. I said, well, what about leprechauns? Because leprechauns, we don't believe in leprechauns. Hang on before you say that, because I did some research, and 30 to 40% of people living in Ireland, your listeners, believe in leprechauns. So you're going to be pissing off about 40% of your listening people. And then there actually is a big park there in I forget what city in Ireland that the land is dedicated to the leprechauns. But that's part of their culture. Just like the Menehune is part of the Hawaii culture, just like the Tommyknockers are part of the mining culture. Are they physical, or do they need to be physical, or could they be metaphysical? That's a whole other show.
That is another show.
Yeah,
you're right about that.
Yeah.
Well,
we won't go that far.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm hearing a little sound problem. I don't think it's from my side. I think it's from your side. So. Sounds like you got a bad wire over there.
It could have been my son. He's getting ready for work, and he was making some noise in the background.
No, I don't know if it's that. It's like the wire part of it moving around.
No, it's attached.
Huh.
Well,
Is it
generally,
moving around?
what it could be, it actually could be, we're being recorded.
Absolutely, that's it. Well, hopefully it goes away. That's for sure. Man, I don't like that. It's bugging me. I'm like, I gotta fix it.
Well, it's really interesting. And in the years I've been doing this, I've been contacted twice. At about 9. What time is it now? About 9:30 or so, 10 o'clock at night. A few years ago, when I started back in 2009. I did just a ton of cattle mutilations. Get it? Ton cattle. Anyway, cattle mutilations. And I got a call. I got a call at night on my cell phone. In 2009, cell phone numbers weren't easily or readily available.
That's right.
Because we still had a lot of landlines. And it was a male voice, and he was very, not demanding, but, very businesslike. And he knew me. It's Mr. Zukowski. He actually pronounced my name right.
I thought I did. I feel so bad. I was like, Zukowski. No? I'm right?
You got it.
Okay. What did I say?
And
I need my
I had
glasses.
specific questions that he wanted to ask me about animal mutilations and what I thought and what evidence I found. And we spent about 15 minutes on the phone, and I gave him all the information he needed. He said, thank you very much. And I said, if you have any other questions, you have my number, obviously. And I got another call later on when my sister and I found that little Roswell piece back in 2002 during an archaeology day again, and we did a big press release down there, and then Bigelow Aerospace stepped up, which is another story. But I got a phone call from Mr. Zukowski. I can't tell you if it was the same guy or not because it was a few years in between, or later that it happened that I got the second phone call. But it was another phone call asking me specifics about what I thought about Roswell, what evidence, and I was very, polite, respectful, answered the questions. I got to tell people, I wrote a blog probably about a month or so ago called The Proverbial Line. I've been thinking about that for a while, and so I decided I'm just going to write a blog. You see, as investigators, we have a proverbial line that we don't cross. And if you cross, we step on it sometimes, and if you step on it, the powers that be will let you know that you're stepping on the proverbial line, like you're getting too close to something. whatever you're investigating. If you step over the line like Max Spears did last year, you end up dead in Poland with black ooze coming out of your mouth. I mean, so there have been in the past, and Connie could probably tell you, if she's done a show with us on Coast to Coast, that we've lost some investigators in the past, kind of mysteriously. It seemed like they...
What do you know about Max?
Well, Max Spears, I mean, he was working on something. I think he got more into the conspiracy side of whatever he was looking into. And then, of course, he texted his mom and said, hey, your son's in trouble. If something happens to me, please investigate. And then a week or so later, he's found dead in his friend's room or a friend's place in Poland. And so
I remember that. I remember I knew him. I mean, I had talked to him several times. He was a super soldier.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy from what I could read. What I read about him. I never got to meet the guy. But we do have, and Connie has it too. You have proverbial lines that you don't want to cross over, and it's okay though, because as a UFO investigator, animal mutilations, whatever, paranormal stuff, whatever you do, there's so much out there that if you can't cross this line to find that, there's plenty of other stuff, to look at. Now I know of two places that there are skunk work facilities. I'll never expose that to the public where they are, because that's crossing the proverbial line. When you do investigations, UFO investigations and lights in the sky and stuff, sometimes it leads you to these secret military facilities called skunk works. They're not like Area 51. They're just out in the middle of nowhere, and maybe owned by Lockheed Martin, or maybe owned by whatever, but Martin Marietta or whatever. And they're testing whatever they're testing, the latest technology or the next technology for our military. And if you do it long enough, like you experience enough, and you can decipher, okay, yeah, I can see what that is. That's definitely terrestrial, what's going on there. You make a mental note of it. Anything happens in an area, you kind of know, okay, now I know it's related to that. But you never want to go forward and say, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to dispose all this to the public. That's them. You may not be seen again.
Yeah. And you know what? To me, I mean, my whole life I've always wanted to be in radio and television. And thank you, God, for being able to do that. So that's a career, a love, a passion. Now, all the paranormal stuff, which I know we all hate that word, but all the other interesting things, like on Blue Rock Talk here, that is also a passion and a desire and a want to know the truth. So it's been great to be able to marry those two things. Now, here's the tough part, though. You find out these things. Of course, it's great content. It's fun to talk about. You want to talk about it. You want to share the truth. However, if I'm in a situation, this is the way it is. If I'm in a situation and somebody says, look, we don't want to show you that because you're going to try to put it on Coast or Blue Rock Talk, I'll be like, I'll make a deal with you. I won't tell anybody, because I want to know. I want to know that first. I can find something else to talk about on the show, right? Mm-hmm. I want to be that person. And I know that, and I bet, maybe you're the same way. If someone came up and said, we're going to tell you all the truth, everything you've ever wanted to know, you deserve it, you can't do any more shows. You can't ever talk about it. What would you do? I'd be like, okay.
Well, I mentioned that earlier, when we first started talking. I said, the whole reason I do this is I do it for me. And it sounds a little bit, selfish, but it's not really selfish. And I
totally get it.
If you took psychology in college, like I did.
I did too. It works.
A couple semesters. It's the whole ed thing. It's the pyramid, right? And the pyramid of life in your personal life, where do you fit in that pyramid? Actually reflects on you as a person. Now, it may sound selfish, but to really be successful in whatever you do, it doesn't matter, whatever you do. I mean, you don't have to be a millionaire to be successful, just a good parent, for gosh sakes. But you have to put yourself at the very, very top of the pyramid, because if you do everything right, it reflects all the way down. Family, down to work, trickles all down. It's called the trickle-down effect. If you put yourself down at the bottom of the pyramid, you're constantly trying to give, and you'll never get
You're
any
worn
better.
out.
And it affects everything you do.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with UFO investigations, paranormal being anything other than normal. But you put yourself, you make yourself the top person, and anything you do, it'll work for you.
Yes, that's right. That's
Now,
absolutely right.
And that's why I do it for
and
me.
You got to trust yourself too.
You have to trust.
You have to trust yourself. When somebody else says that this is what they've experienced and what they went through, okay, I'm listening to you. I want to learn everything people are going through. There are some people that just want some sort of fame or want to tell stories. Mm-hmm. I hope that I do my best to stay away from those, and I know you do too, because it's really, you're not going to get any fame in this industry, this genre at all, and nobody cares. They just don't. But that's cool when they tell a story. But when
a little bit of fame. It's been a few years, but
a little bit. Well, right. But you're not.
Talk about that later.
You're not rich yet, right? Are you? I don't know.
No. You can get fame without getting a fortune.
I know.
You can be very, very well known and not make a buck.
That's true, and that's a shame at that
There's
point.
no money in this.
There's
no money in this at all. Don't do it.
If you're going to have to deal with fame, you better have some sort of financial success with it, because forget it otherwise. And it's like, I can't even get away.
My wife knew how much money I've spent on my equipment. I would be
You'd
divorced.
be gone.
I'd probably be gone. Yeah, and that's basically it is. It's kind of funny because when I get interviewed by TV or something, and I've only been on TV like a dozen times, not a lot.
I remember seeing you with the, I guess the Roswell thing. I remember it was a mutilation thing. I think I met you before I saw you.
Yeah, I think my big break, or my 5 minutes of fame or whatever, is
right now here on Blue Rock Talk. And those of you that are here watching, you are watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. This is Chuck Zukowski.
That's right.
He's and I'm not even going to say anything else because I'm going to get in trouble. He'll let me know that I've said it wrong. But we're here tonight. We're talking to him. He's going to show us some animal mutilation pictures as well as with part of his research that he's talking about, because he's all over the board just like me. We both like to connect the dots. We both like to study all the pieces of the puzzle because there is an answer to it. And those of you that like to stay in one area, we love that because you're an expertise there. We can talk to you and you know hopefully you know even further into it than we do, because I know he's like me, that he gets deep into each one of them. It's not just all of them, and it's not surface, not 101, it's all of them deeply. And I believe that he's just the same as me in that way. Those of you new here, please hit that subscribe button. Love for you to be a blue rocker. That is someone in the know. We have a lot of things that we talk about here on Blue Rock Talk. It's Earth's most interesting conversations, and that includes people like Chuckles here, places and things that we all talk about. Bigfoot Friday, Stan's Bible lecture, a college level course. This is our signature night tonight, Blue Rock Talk. And then we also, coming up, the Wasted Wednesdays. That is a serious look at the cannabis industry, and Crypto Connie Tuesday, which is all about cryptocurrency, and then all sorts of crazy stuff in between. You never know what's going to happen. In fact, I want to invite everybody out there that has something really cool and unique happen. I want you to be, Connie, I can call in and tell you something. I just look over here. You got to see what we just saw. Always, I would love that. That's the stringer stuff I want to do for sure. We will be taking questions here at one point. So if you want to ask a question in the live chat, because we have it spread out with my Facebook and Twitters, the live chat that I'll be looking at is on YouTube, because I can't look at all of them. So if you're not at YouTube, Connie Willis, Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, go there. That live chat, that's the one I'll be looking at. And if you have a question, put it in all caps, and that way I can find it. And you may have to redo it again. But I hope everything's going well. You guys are hearing everything. I know some of you guys heard those pops as well as I did. But it's quiet right now. So hopefully that's over. Yeah, I hope that's over.
Let's start the questions with I just did a cattle mutilation investigation here out of Trinidad, Colorado 2 weeks ago on July, actually it was July 16th is when I was contacted. July 18th is when I saw the animal. The animal died on July 14th. So
is that the pictures I have?
Yeah, one of the pictures.
Okay. Okay. So let us know what happened. Yeah, that's.
What's interesting though is cattle mutilations still occur. just to let people know. And it's not just cattle, it's horses too, and sheep and other, in other countries. It basically pertains to free grazing stock, free grazing animals. The Dominican Republic, it's sheep, or in UK, it's sheep. Out here, we have a lot of free grazing cattle, and that's what usually happens. And now we're starting to see, well, we've been seeing with horses since 1967 with Snippy the horse. Actually, her name was Lady the horse. But this is still happening, and I'm deputy director of animal mutilations for MUFON. Just one of those things that I just happen to be one of probably. I'll just say the top 3 most experienced in the United States, because I'm giving Christopher O'Brien and Linda Moulton Howe credit, but I'm better than Linda Moulton Howe. So, but I'm going to give her credit anyway. So I'll just say I'm one of the top 3. But basically, it's animal mutilations out of all my investigations, and like Connie says, I think there's a connection. The 37th parallel, we can talk about that later. That was physically connecting the dots that led me to that theory that sparked a TV show and now a book, and the book's turning, hopefully in a movie later on. But basically,
it's coming for him. The fame is there. He's got the Hollywood look.
Yeah, there. But
wait till they see you in that dress. I'll take you down. No, it'll lift you up. Trust me, it'll lift you up.
Cattle mutilations are by far the most dangerous. So,
why did you even get into that though? Why?
Well, because I've been associated. I mean, not associated, but it's I've been researching it for so long that I knew enough about it that when I had an opportunity to roll on one, I did. But the thing is I was already mentally prepared and physically prepared, and and then my equipment prepared too, because the whole thing about animal mutilations is you're going to see an animal that's dead. You have no idea how it died. There's no evidence on how it died. You're just seeing it dead. You're seeing the strange marks on it. The first thing you got to be really concerned about is viral or bacterial infections that could affect you, that you could take back to your family, your loved ones, if you don't love your family, or even even the members of your team. So animal mutilation investigations, just because you're physically looking at an animal that was killed unknowingly, and I mean that we've had over 10,000 cases here in the United States since 1967. Out of all those cases that were investigated by law enforcement, they've never found evidence that a predator killed it, and they never found evidence that a human killed it. No one's ever been tried, convicted, sent to jail for animal mutilations. Not
That's
at all.
Interesting. That's interesting.
And so this is a scary, scary, scary thing.
Yeah.
And we do see lights. This last one that I just did on that happened on July 14th. That same night, a neighbor had called that lived about 20 miles east of the area where the mutilation occurred, and she physically saw spinning lights. This is about 11:30 night. She went outside to take a smoke a cigarette, and she saw spinning lights. And spinning lights were heading in the direction where eventually there was a mutilation, we think, that night. And so sometimes you get these correlations, these coincidences. That's not so much a coincidence that is like, okay, this occurred and then that occurred. And we've had enough of those happening now that it's no longer a coincidence, but we know that that there's some type of strange lights, if they be probes or craft or whatever, that are seen around animal mutilations. And then after the fact, some unmarked helicopters will pop up and they'll do their own little investigations. They're not responsible for it. I gotta let people know that.
Right.
They show up afterwards. So that there is an entity within our government that is following up on that.
Do you think that's what it is? You do think it is government
Absolutely.
Checking it out and seeing
Absolutely.
what they just did? And
Absolutely.
When they do that, okay, when they check it out, because I've heard where some people believe it's the aliens looking like they would be a human because they're in a helicopter, and that was one of somebody's theory. And then another one is that was definitely us checking out what had just happened.
Right.
So, okay, so for them to check out what just happened, what would they pick up? I mean, I would think, okay, somebody, whatever was here and we know about it, so we see one. But do they also look at it in a different way to say, okay, this one, they took the tongue out, or they did that, or they did this? Does that determine something else when they see maybe what the mutilation was? Or is it just the fact that, okay, it's a mutilation, we're checking it out, we got the information we need? Or does it also determine, oh, it was this group that did that, or this group that did that, or this is what they're trying to get from that?
That's a lot of questions. So,
sorry, I felt like Larry King there for a minute.
And you know what? I was like this. No, that was my Larry King impersonation. Basically, some of the mutilation cases that I've done, the animal is actually laying in a round, I don't want to say crop circle, but it's a ground depression.
Right.
And I've taken soil samples from inside the ground depression and outside the ground depression. The ground depressions are anywhere between 16 to 22 feet in diameter, so they're not small. And all the cases so far that I've taken, the soil it has been changed the same. The nutrients, it's less water soluble. The cations have changed. Now, I've taken samples in Colorado, Kansas City, Missouri, and Georgia. And all three of those states have got different soil contents. Missouri is really high in clay, but yet all three ended up the same lab analysis. So that kind of struck me, like, oh my gosh, okay, now we've got something here. So it's a high energy source that either lifted the animal, but in this case, it put the animal down, because that's where I picked it up at. That put the animal down. And so it's a high energy source, and the high energy source affected the nutrients in the soil. This is something physical that we can look at, and we can analyze, and and take it to a lab. So that's pretty cool. Now, what caused that energy source? There's kind of different theories in that, and I don't know how much time we have, but I could probably go into a little bit of that.
Oh, absolutely.
These balls of light are being seen a lot around animal mutilations, and I have a bunch of ranchers that seen them. Not only seen them, but they've seen some craft. The balls of light could just be a precursor to looking for the right animal or the location to do the animal mutilation they're seen in the area. And then either they're responsible for the energy source to come down to pick up the animal. Let's say it's a, gosh, I hate to just say, like a vortex that's opening up somewhere, or it could be a physical craft up there
and a beam of light
with a beam of light that comes down. But for whatever reason, it's that energy source. Now, it's our opinion, though, that now the military is pretty good now, because we have pretty good technology, that they're picking up those flashes of energy sources or anomalies. And so they come in after the fact. And they've done so many of them, whatever group that's working on this, that now they know that, hey, this is related to that. And they're monitoring that. They're going to the location. And, of course, they have their own instruments and their own technology of, it's far more advanced than what I have, here, than what I use to try and find whatever evidence that they're looking for. And like what Connie was asking, all these questions of what are they looking for, that's not so much the actual cuts on the animal. I think what they're doing is, in my opinion, they're using the energy to triangulate and maybe to locate the source.
Oh.
And tracking these things. So because even the animal may have been gone or buried or burned, and they still show up, and they're looking at the site, and the animal's no longer. Now, so a lot of cases the animal's there. Some cases the animal's not, which tells me that they're looking for something residual that's there. So that's why, even though the animal may be gone or maybe a couple of days old, and I can't take a biological sample, I still roll. I still take radiation readings to make sure it's safe for the rancher, because and I take EMF, and then I also take UV IR shots of the animal during the daytime. I block out the white light. I look for anything I can. The evidence is there. I was law enforcement. I was a volunteer in law enforcement for 8 years, a deputy sheriff. My sons are cops. One just left and rejoined the Army, and then my brother's a Fed. So we have that in the family. And one thing I can tell you is, every mutilation case or any UFO landing, anything, there's evidence that's there. The problem is what is the evidence, and how do we look for it, and how do we find it? Yeah, there's books and books and books on homicides and how to find evidence on a homicide, but how do you find evidence of an unknown? and it's unknown evidence to us, but yet
Yeah.
the evidence is there. That's just that's the reality of it. If something touches something else, it's going to leave an impression. It's going to leave some type of evidence there. We just have to figure out what the evidence is. So now we're using all different types of technology. I want to use, a different type of technology. I mean, we're using night vision, we're using UV, IR and stuff, and maybe we'll get into something like, laser radar or something.
Oh, wow.
Something. We're kind of thinking about. You got to remember too. I got to wait for this technology to come down in price.
I know.
So I could acquire it.
Isn't that something? It's true. It is so expensive. You're right. I always like to say, hey, to my military friends, how's those night vision goggles that you got? Are you using them? Can I at least borrow them? Something. No, they don't even want to give those up. They don't even want to do that. So. We're
using LiDAR now, which is pretty cool. That's what I want to get into. LiDAR.
What is it?
LiDAR.
What's that?
LiDAR is it's a technology that autonomous cars use. It basically it's not really a camera, but it's a laser that shoots like maybe infrared, and it can see the outline of all the vehicles and everything, and you can see things move. So and it doesn't leave a signature. So Special Forces is actually looking into that now. They might even be using it now, because if you use something that's night vision and you're actually projecting an infrared light or something, to be able to see what you're looking at, then the bad guy can see that too. So you want to be able to put something on that doesn't emit anything,
right?
But can see everything. Yeah.
LiDAR.
Yeah,
I thought that was like gaydar, except it's somebody that is lying, and you can, you got LiDAR.
LiDAR. Yeah, LiDAR technology.
You're a liar. That's perfect. I love it. To anybody that has these stories. Okay, so, all these things come into mind as you're talking about this, and so now I got to pull back some of those questions. So I'm going to take you back a little bit. But you were, let me go to one of them that was crop circle related. I'm doing some stuff with William Gazetke. I'll have him on Coast to Coast August 11th coming up, and he's doing stuff on Robert Van Den Broek. Do you know him? Now I'll screw up his last name for sure.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
He's Nancy Talbot. Remember you remember Nancy Talbot?
Oh, I remember Nancy. Yeah.
Okay, she was studying Stan originally, and then she started studying Robert over in the Netherlands. Okay, he is the only person that is known that can consistently tell you when a crop circle is going to happen, where it's going to happen, and what it's going to look like.
Nice.
And you go there. And Nancy was really studying this big time. And when they talked about the circles, people saw the balls of light. They also found something that was interesting, is this white powder. Now, so you're talking about kind of an indention, a crop circle kind of thing. They even saw like tubes of light going down too. And then there's these crop circles. And you're kind of, saying the same kind of thing, a little, kind of crop circle kind of thing. Some people were asking as well, was there any type of crop circles or evidence like that around these mutilations? But you're also talking about the balls of light, and and then the fact too that it's just like the crop circles. It's not like the police are coming out and going, quit trespassing, you shouldn't be doing this. There's no need to, right? They even know that there's no need to. And, we're talking, I want to go back to the cattle mutilations. I've got so many things I wanted to tell you because you kept on talking. Darn it. I'm going to write them down next time. But when you
flashcards.
No.
Shut up.
Shut up. I got to ask you something. Go back. I can't handle it.
Well, you can always do this.
Yeah.
Here you go. Right.
Shut up. Darn. Well, it was. But do you notice the balls of light again? Balls of light again. There's always balls of light. They're around Bigfoot. They're around ghosts. They're around crop circles.
A little different around ghosts though, because the ghosts are more of an orb, and they actually may be the ghost himself, the spirit, and that's why you have to be careful.
Well, that's true. Well, orbs.
Don't call orbs.
This is true. Let me say that you're right. But orbs have also been around all of these things too.
Well, yes, but not for that reason.
Well, what do you
Here's
think it
something
is? What do you think?
Well, it all comes down to EMF, electromagnetic field. The same thing that when there's a craft sighting, and I've picked it up actually on some animals that have been mutilated, and actually a couple that actually survived the mutilation, where they were very highly energized with electromagnetic field.
Oh, if they can
and I picked it up, just not all the time, but just very rarely I'll pick it up on the ground. But then, so that same field is being done by, let's say, aliens, okay? And so that's the residual of whatever they're doing. Well, as a ghost investigator, that's why I got involved in ghost or spirit investigations, is they emit an electromagnetic field when they're trying to materialize or just trying to communicate. It's a very high energy field. Now, let's say
this is all theory.
This is a theory of mine.
It's a theory.
Another theory that someone's going to steal from me, but that's okay. Or I might have sold it from them. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, if you have a high energy, if you ever watch any of these these ghost shows in the past, they always talk about the fear cage, or you have this area that emits a lot of electricity because it's a power box is over there or something. There's a lot of field around, and that attracts ghosts.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's say that you have aliens working in a specific area, and they leave this really cool electromagnetic field, residual energy sitting there, and that attracts ghosts or spirits, and that's where you see the orbs. Versa versa now, that if there's a lot of ghost activity, a lot of spirit activity, that could attract the aliens, because that's the same realm. They're going, hey, look at that energy there. Because there's been some cases where, I tell you how I got involved in this I first got involved in ghost investigations because it was an abduction that turned into a haunting or ghost sighting is what it was. And that's when I go, okay, well, now I have to just split the two up. What could be an abduction? What could be an actual ghost sighting? And then there was a couple of cases where it was both. And it could just be a coincidence, but there might be one attracts the other for whatever reason, or they can see each other based on that realm, which could be something else that we really haven't thought about.
And if you study Dr. David Jacobs, he thinks they're all aliens. They just make you think there's something else in your mind that you can relate to, so they don't blow their cover. Now,
I don't believe that.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. And just to reiterate before I ask you,
that my grandma, when she came to visit, was an alien pretending to be my grandma.
Well, I do agree. I do think that can happen, but I understand what he's saying. So maybe it's not every situation, but he does believe that they can do that, and I can agree to that.
I believe it's true when it comes to abduction, that some people see relatives, some people see owls, some people see different things, and then it's whatever keeps them calm, and I can absolutely believe that in that situation. But I still believe that our ancestors and our dead ones can come back every now and then.
They're only coming to haunt you.
So I believe in life after death. So.
Yeah, me too. But to me, I don't know if I'd come back and see everybody. I go, look, I'm having a great time. I see y'all soon. Don't worry. I know you'll be here shortly.
Oh,
it's
just inevitable. The other way around. It could be like, dude, there's nothing there.
Oh,
it's all happening.
It's just dark.
It's just boring.
It's just boring. This is.
Gilligan's Island reruns every day. I mean, come on.
And Bob Denver's actually here. Oh my gosh. Ginger is too, and we just know. Marianne's cool though, but she's not there yet.
Did Ginger pass? I didn't know Ginger passed.
I think Ginger passed. Yeah.
Louise? Okay.
Yeah. So I got one question to ask, but before then, I still want to go back to the orbs. Now, I've had
probes. Okay.
Well, I'm just telling you from other people and their stories as well. Bigfooters will see big balls of light. They'll also see tiny orbs, and they'll also see soccer ball size orbs.
Well, you want to hear what that is?
Well, really no, not yet. I don't want to hear Chuck's theory yet. We got
I can't tell you who I had a really cool conversation with, but he was a multimillionaire. And
From
just
Bigelow?
very recently, no, he's a multi-billionaire.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're right.
don't mix it up.
Yeah. Which multimillionaire?
I can't tell you, but basically.
Oh, okay. This is
the
the guy you said you couldn't tell me the other day. Okay, all right.
But this is this is one of these things where, and I actually have. I can't show you the photo, unfortunately, but I have a photo of a kid, a teenage boy. That's why I can't show it to you, because he's teenage. He's underage, and I don't have his permission.
And mark his face off.
So anyway, he's walking. Let me see my little picture. He's walking up, and there's a ball of light. The ball of light's larger. As he gets closer to it, the ball of light's smaller and smaller. It's about the size of a marble, and it's really, really cool. And the more you investigate these things, the ball of light is not a light as we perceive it as a white light, but it's not. It doesn't reflect. So it doesn't reflect there's no reflection on him. It's bright, but there's no reflection. Some of these craft that people have seen that have all these lights, they leave no reflection on the ground. We'll be going that later, another time or whatever. That's how we know that it is true, an anomaly. So these balls of light can be can start off very, very small, and depending on what they're doing, they expand. Now, whether or not the mass is expanding or just the light itself, the energy expanding, I can't tell you. You can't see through them. That's the difference between a ball of light and an orb. The orbs, you can see a little bit through them. Especially if you do a lot of ghost investigations, you see the orbs. The balls of light are solid, solid, solid. You can't see, and they leave no reflection at all. The person that I was talking to,
those are weird.
The person I was talking to had been to Brazil and a lot of other places investigating this because he's got the money to bounce all over the world. And
does he need a friend?
No, but
besides you,
I'm being his friend. And the thing is without us talking about it, we were talking about balls of light. He was saying exactly the same thing that I've been theorizing and figuring out for the last couple of years. He's already figured out, saying this is what it is, and the more I think about it, the more it's correct. Now we're dealing right now, at least with me in the microchip industry. You've heard of nanotechnology, and we're using a lot of nanotechnology now, and so we're at the beginning of the 21st century, and we're dealing in nanotechnology. But if you're a little more advanced in technology, nanotechnology can be, it can replicate, it can do all kinds of stuff, or it can be this small. Who knows? That's physics out of our realm. So anyway, the balls of light can be different sizes, but can really be one particular type of light or ball of light that's being seen at different sizes just because of what it's doing.
So what do you think it is?
It's a probe. It's a mechanical probe.
Oh, you think it's a mechanical probe?
We send out probes ourselves out in space. These are the mechanical probes, just like you would think.
Interesting.
Think of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Last year was the anniversary for that. Remember when Richard Dreyfuss saw the craft go by and you say a little ball of light go afterwards?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what these things are. And what they do is what we think. When I collaborated with this millionaire.
Disclaimer, theories, disclaimer.
That basically.
Don't go to the light. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The ball of light basically is just, it's setting the environment up for what they want to do.
It's interesting.
So it's there like a probe that we would send to Mars. It's all over the place, determining where Sojourner was going to land, or whatever, So it's setting everything up. So it's the precursor, and then it's also monitoring. My sister Debbie and I actually filmed a ball of light in Marley Woods in Missouri years ago, and it's on YouTube under UFO Nut. Okay. And it only came up for a second, but in this particular area, generations have seen these balls of light. Sometimes it's one light, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's a stadium of lights. They pop up every now and then. So I did a couple of experiments. I went back one time and I altered, my opinion, it's there because it's monitoring the environment. That was just the theory I had. I went back with television degaussers that are electromagnets. Back in the day, we used to use these, these television degaussers to to fix the color on your old picture tubes. So I found some in the, you know, in a bunch of pawn shops I was looking for, and bought some online, and I hooked them all together, and I made an artificial electromagnetic field about 30 feet diameter out in the middle of this cattle field, just outside of the woods where these lights come up. And just for a split second, when I had to go on for about a half hour or so, a light came on, came off. Now I can't tell you if in my opinion, that's exactly what happened, because I saw it in the camera and I saw it there. But when you look at the camera, because I was using a Sony Handycam and 8mm, you know, film, or it's magnetic film, that's not as advanced as we would use now, and it's not 4K, it wasn't high definition and all that stuff. So I can't actually tell you when you look at it that was actually the case, and it wasn't just a, you know, an anomaly in the night vision. But we did see it, and we caught it on camera. But you had to be there to be able to verify.
Oh, I want to see that.
But the thing is for a split second, it in my opinion, it looked to see what was going on, because I changed the environment. Then I went back a year later and I set up my light experiment, and I ran my light experiment. I didn't get any feedback from that, but that was something pretty cool too. I'm letting you talk now.
No, I was letting you go. You got a one shot there. I was just letting you go. I wanted to check to see while you were telling your story if there were any questions on here. I didn't.
Yeah, you know, sometimes
that were the case.
I mean, one of the problems with being an investigator that does so many different things is you can relate one thing to the other, and one thing, and all of a sudden an hour or 2 hour show can go into 6 hours, just because there's so much out there.
So much out there.
There's just so much going on. It's ridiculous.
It's true, and you and I could talk forever about all this stuff, and absolutely love it, every second of it, and never get bored. And if anybody else went to bed, it wouldn't matter. You know, I could just keep talking about it. I know you can too. Now I had okay. Let's just go back to the balls of light in the orbit and all that stuff again. Here's another theory. And I'm not saying what they are one way or the other. I love your theory. I think that's great.
My theory is more of a hypothesis.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that. Capital H with that too. No, I'm totally with you. Well, recently I had interviewed someone called Jerry Wills. Have you heard of Jerry? Do you know Jerry?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. 6'9".
Bigfoot,
a lot of a lot of people believe he is Palladian, and he's got a really good story. I had him on Coast a couple times, and had him here on Blue Rock Talk. Great guy, and he heals. You know, he's able to do his hand thing and heal bones and do things like that. And when he grew up, he grew up in Kentucky. And there's a whole little story to that too you'd love, that with the military involved. Like as a baby, he was left in a house. The story he knows, he was left in a house. Military came and picked him up, and it was in Kentucky. 12 hours later than they should have. It was a very cold night, and he had frostbite as a baby. And, you know.
They call him Indigo Child?
I don't think so.
Indigo Children?
I don't know. No, no, they didn't know. Wasn't, well, no, that story never came up from him. Yeah. But he used to get visitations. People would come down into the woods. He lived in the woods of Kentucky, you know, just out there, and he would get visitations from crafts from the sky, and he talked to people that had these, you know, looked like normal people, but they had different, you know, tight outfits on, and they'd come talk to him once in a while, see how things were going, kind of thing. He thought that was normal, just like me with the ghost and all that kind of stuff. Just thought all that stuff was normal. And he was talking, what he does now, he's got a YouTube channel, and he talks about these things, and he goes to Brazil, and he takes people to check out ayahuasca or just the Amazon or whatever, ancient things. He and his wife, Kathy, they go and look for these things. Really neat people. You'd love them. Absolutely love them. Well, he was talking about they went to Brazil, and they were going up to, they were going to Machu Picchu. Right? I say that okay there?
Yeah.
So they were going up there, and they met this guy who, he came up to Jerry. Don't quote me on this story. Don't totally quote me on it. But he went up to Jerry, and he knew his name. and asked him some questions, had a little bit of conversation. And again, long story short, and not to be quoted, but basically the guy that he was talking to, he saw him already up top, you know, from the long hike up there. I've never been, but I know that there's this hike. And he's a big guy, and he's very strong, Jerry, and he said that guy was up there, and there's no way he could have ever gotten there. That Jerry's, you know, very quick and knows what he's doing to get up there. And this guy beat him, and he thought, there's no way this guy could have beat me by that much, no way. Well, he started thinking about that a little bit, and I guess they saw each other a couple more times, and basically he asked him about it, and the guy had said, I don't know which conversation it was, but basically that he was a Palladian, and he was here to talk to people, humans, and ask them questions, he and a couple other people. And he had this little like thing attached to his belt that was about a lighter size, you know, just like a little lighter. And when Jerry asked him about, how'd you get up there? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? What's going on here? And he said, well, after he explained who he was as being a Palladian, and he knew him and all that kind of stuff. Well, he took that little lighter looking thing, and that's what he would press or whatever he would do, and he'd turn into a little ball of light, and he'd fly up to a location or wherever he wanted, and then he would become a person again. But he became a little ball of light with this little bitty like lighter device.
Was he really there?
Well, you can do that, but listen, this is cool, because he also told him, he said, you know, he was talking to him about the technology of it, I guess, and saying, you know, this is me. And he did it. He said he did it in front of him. But he also mentioned that when you see lights in the sky, a lot of times it's a whole bunch of little ones, and we make them bigger, or we're a bigger light, ball of light, and we'll go into a whole bunch of little ones. And he said it's the same technology. It's just, you know, it's bigger. It's easier for us to transport ourselves and transport whatever we have. It's how we get around. That was really cool to hear that, you know. So there's a whole nother idea of it.
So
I think that's interesting.
That is, so that's interesting.
And,
but see, that's technology that's kind of like
beyond us.
Yeah, way out of. I mean, now the indigo children, that's been around for a few years, and basically, what we think they are, and this may be who he is, you know, obviously, there's this hybrid, you know, partial hybrid, like maybe he was taken when he was a child, and that's where these indigo children pop up, and they have special abilities. We have a town here in Colorado called Stafford, and supposedly some indigo children that came out of that area, and that's outside of San Luis Valley, where exactly like what he said, what you said, was the military would be monitoring, and when they get to a certain age, they're just taken. Sometimes they're taken before the military gets there. But that's rare. Usually they're taken by the military.
Isn't that something? Could you imagine being in the military, in that, knowing that piece of the puzzle? I would love to be in that position, but you know that those people in that position, I mean, could you imagine when you first were told all this stuff, and hey, this is what you're going to learn about and protect and go investigate or check out, and this is what we want to check out, where we just even want to know that it's real and to see it. They are beyond that, but trying to find out more about it, you know. How many more are there? Is this becoming bigger or smaller? Who knows what they're even investigating? But could you imagine being on that realm?
Yeah, that it was actually brought, one of the thoughts also, that the military was protecting the children by taking them too. And so, you know, you kind of hear the negative side, like, well, they stealing the children, or were they protecting the children?
Right.
And who are they protecting them from? You know,
and maybe they were just left behind to die.
Well,
even.
there you are too. Well, and so are they protecting from the aliens? Or are they protecting them from humans too? You know, I mean, you know, because we're kind of a lousy race right now, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
and
we suck.
we suck. We really
do.
Not the people that are watching this, obviously.
No, not
The
blue
other
rockers.
people.
Not blue rockers.
The other people are. Yeah, we kind of suck. But we're really interesting to you know, as a as someone to look at, you know, and to research. So we know we're very, very interesting as a you know, humanity.
Are we? Because we're stupid? I mean, because we're idiots or what? You know what I mean? I mean, we just do some dumb things.
We do some dumb things, but you know what? Maybe they can't. Maybe they don't have the capability of making the stupid choices we make because they're way beyond that. Or maybe they're not there yet. We don't know. You know, I had an interesting thought years ago that alien, because people come up to me all the time and going, well, how more intelligent do you think aliens are than us? And I said, well, actually, they could have the same IQ we have. They could be just as smart IQ-wise, you know, or let's say 140 or 130 IQ. Okay, within our realm, 140 is pretty easy for people to get out here. I don't know what I'm 500. No, I'm not. Anyway.
You're 5. What? You said 5. I can edit that.
I'm more like 45. Okay, I'm 45. I'm
Gotta edit it.
I'm not smart. But basically, the thing is we've always been a war race of our humanity from the very beginning. We fought, and we fight over real estate, or we fight over religious beliefs, or whatever. But we've been fighting. I mean, back in the 1600s with Copernicus, right? They had to wait till he died before they released the papers and said, "Oh, by the way, the Earth is not the center of our little solar system," you know. But you know, he was afraid of the Roman Catholic Church, you know. So,
right.
But if
people still are.
People still are. So, but if we were back in the 1500s, if society was completely open about that, and we took all our energy and our money, instead of investing it in weapons, you know, and use it in science and travel, where would we be now?
That's right. That's right.
It would be ridiculous, and we still may have the same IQ, sort of, you know, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, or whatever, you know. But because you can have a 45 IQ or 35 IQ and know how to run a computer. Okay, that's just a learning thing. You know, once you learn the steps and stuff. So I mean, you don't have to be a genius to do all this stuff. It's a learning capability. And as you learn more and more and more, and we achieve things, we could, you know, who knows where we'd be right now. So one thought is, hey, maybe they're just as intelligent as we are, but they had the opportunity through their evolution of not fighting with each other, and they were brought up as travelers, or whatever. You know, or scientists, Galileo,
and whatever they needed. And whatever they needed is where they developed. You know, the same question was.
They didn't fight about it. You know, that wasn't in their evolution. I can't stand. Oh gosh, I can't stand these scientists that say that if there's life outside this planet, it's going to evolve like us. I just want to come over and just smack the shit out of them. I mean, what a godlike thing to say, you know. And these are the people that say, you know, that you know, that everybody's the same, and everybody evolved the same, and
no,
we're not.
We're special.
We're very unique as a race here on Earth. There's so many diversities.
Absolutely,
that makes this really cool, you know. Anyway, so we have those diversities out there too. And you can argue whether or not the appendages, if you need 4 or 5, or what, it doesn't matter, you know. But they could be silicon-based. We're carbon-based, right? I mean,
well, just on the planet itself, you can see life underwater, a whole nother world underwater, and they're all so different. They have
living in a lava
they
tube.
Have flippers, and what's that?
Living in a lava tube, they found.
Yes.
They found life. They found birds living in a lava tube.
Yeah.
That couldn't survive, but these could probably survive on Venus.
Yeah.
I mean, at that temperature.
Well, a long time ago, I asked that question to, are you familiar with Lynn Buchanan, remote viewer?
Yeah.
Do you know Lynn?
No, 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 no. I it was Buchanan, and I couldn't put it together until you said remote viewer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good guy, great guy. And I had asked him that before about the aliens being advanced. And he looked at me and he said, Connie, you know, I don't think he had glasses all the time, but he was like, why do you think they're advanced? You know, and I said, well, you know, they're flying here, they've got all this cool technology. They can go, you know, whatever in their ships. And he started laughing. He said, well, he said, okay, that's valid. He said, but here's the deal. Because I was interested in the reverse technology. I thought, why would they trade or the transfer of technology that they give us stuff and we give them stuff? I said, what would they want from us? And that's where he smiled. And I found this interesting. He said, because I thought they were more advanced. And he said, well, they're more advanced in areas that they needed to be advanced in. You know, and he had that story of the planet that was, you know, they had to live somewhere else because their planet was blown up or whatever, maybe a fight or whatever the deal, and they were looking around, so they had to advance and travel. But he said, I said, but why? So he was talking about that. Well, they advanced where they needed to advance to get where they needed to get, and we didn't never have to go there. You know, we're doing that stuff now. Okay, so well, why do they care about our stuff? Why would they trade off for anything that we have? And he said, well, we advanced in areas that they never even thought of. Yeah. And his example was music. He said, look at our music. Look at how we've advanced, not only with music and playing it and how we combine everything together, but how we listen to it.
It's very mathematical, too.
Yeah, and he said, we listen to it. And he said something like, they love it. You know, it sounded, I don't know if he said they love it as in he had the knowledge of that or he was just saying that he thought that. But Lynn's always fun to talk to because you never know what you're getting out of him, if it's truth, if he just gave you the big secret of all, you know. Going back to something else you said, and then I want to show the pictures to everybody. I want to ask you this question. Those of you just joining us, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Thank you for joining myself and Chuck Zukowski tonight. We're talking about some really cool things, UFO, cattle mutilations. I'm sorry, that is just the word now, because that's the way it is.
I'll change my blogs.
I think it's excellent. It really does work, doesn't it? And anyway, while you're here, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We'd love for you to become a Blue Rocker. That is someone in the know, and we have a little hand signal like this that we do. Chuckles, can you do the Blue Rocker? You can, all right. All right, so let's go back to this. You had mentioned
which is the same as that, but it's
no,
just
that's not. That's Vulcan. This is Blue Rocker. It's Vulcan.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, come on.
It's turned around and sideways. Totally different thing.
Blue Rocker, right?
Totally different thing. Believe me, as I'm getting a logo, everybody wants to do this, and you can't. That's not it. That's Vulcan. That's Spock. This is Blue Rocker. Exactly. I got people doing all sorts of things now with it. Here's a question.
Live and be prosperous, right? Or phosphorus.
What?
Live and be phosphorus.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that.
Phosphorus.
I like that. I got to remember that one. That's good. Okay, so you were talking about some of the cow mutilations, or maybe some other animals too, that they live through it. So here's my question.
No, I never said they lived through
I thought
it.
You said some lived through it.
No.
None of them ever
that
lived.
That wasn't me. No.
Man, I'm going back and editing this thing. None of them lived through it. They all died. Every cattle that you saw.
And I have evidence that and that was kind of one of the things that bugged me was, are these things being cut up while they're alive? And the evidence I took to Colorado State University showed in the pieces of the biological pieces that I took off the animal that had the anomaly cut. Sometimes the anomaly cut was very, very straight, like a scalpel. Other times it was serrated, it's a little jagged, but systematic jags. But it never showed hemorrhaging, which means the blood wasn't coming out. And so they never showed. That was one of the things I asked multiple times. Did it ever show hemorrhaging? And I finally got an opportunity of taking a cow a few years ago, complete cow, to Colorado State University Very Lab for a necropsy. And when they did a necropsy is an autopsy for animals. They call them necropsies.
Oh, okay.
When they opened the cow up, it was a calf. When they opened the calf up, the internal organs were missing, but the heart was still there, and the heart was collapsed, which which told them that it was bled out. So they bled it out, and so they bleed it out. Now, here's the scary part. Since 1967, and even before that, I found a case in the late 1800s, 1894, 1896, where there was a UFO sighting and 3 cattle mutilations in Missouri on the 37th parallel, just so happened. But anyway, it was when they found it the next day, it was completely void of blood. The one common thing about all these animals is the lack of blood. That's the most common thing. So that's the main thing. They take the blood and then they take other parts of the animal for whatever reasons. It has to do maybe the glandular areas, or maybe it has to do with some blood in the glands. It may be more pure, or maybe more affected by whatever's in the glands, and that they're interested in that, or for whatever reason. I know that's just kind of like theory, but it's always the blood most of the time. Well, all the time.
Do you think that, I mean, maybe that's a delicacy for them?
Well, the theory is that's part of the hybrid process. Is utilizing animal blood. Doesn't have to be, because they also take horses and sheep too. Because if people out there are watching this, if you research invertebrate fertilization, when we first started doing invertebrate fertilization here in the United States, they were using bovine hemoglobin. They were using cow blood to fertilize human eggs.
Right.
Well, then the medical industry said, "No, stop! No, time out. We don't want to make babies using human blood, and I mean bovine blood. We want to make them using human blood." So, the American Medical Association put a cap on that, and we just had to wait till technology picked up. Like you said earlier, there was a need for that technology. So they did it. They got the technology to get that done, so they could fertilize eggs. But other countries didn't do that. That was just here. So they were experimenting with vertical fertilization, in vitro, I think it's what it's pronounced.
But we don't know.
Well, that's what I mean.
That's the big thought.
Yeah, exactly. And then during World War II, we were actually considering using bovine hemoglobin in place of blood for World War II. Because it's certain cases where you couldn't get blood out there because bovine hemoglobin doesn't need to be refrigerated. So the medics could have pints of blood, of bovine blood in their packets, and give a GI blood right there, just enough to get them to the Red Cross and get human blood. And at the last minute, they decided not to do that. But I have read some stories where in Vietnam, the Vietnamese did do that.
Because I would want them to do that to me.
Well, they didn't have a Red Cross like we. They don't have good Americans out there that donate blood and fulfill all the. I'm a blood donor, and you got to do that. They didn't have that, so they use cows. So it's kind of
interesting, though. Yeah, and I remember you. I remember you telling me that before.
So I'm not lying. Good.
No, but I'm also like, okay, why? It's obviously it's not people doing it because people would hide that, and then we eat the cow later. Right? Yeah, we wouldn't need to just drop them, boom, and be done. In fact, we
don't drop them.
Are they? These are dropped, right?
They're not dropped. And here's something else. This is going to make you go. This is that whole energy thing. This is that the little round circle that the animal's laying in. The animal.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up that picture, by the way.
Okay.
Did you send it? Yeah.
Is actually, let's make it a giant hand. It's placed there. The energy actually places the animal back down, and depending on the intensity of the energy will depend upon the damage of the animal when it gets placed. Some of the animals I've looked at Testes, 1, 2, testes.
Oh, what? That's right. Oh, no. Now, you know what? Now I just screwed that up. I'm just going to put it next to you so people can hear it. So sorry, you guys. That's what I did.
What did you do?
Well, I just showed the cow, and you were talking, and they didn't hear you because of the mic. So let me pull you back up. You are up. There's Chucky. Now, I want you to talk about it.
The cow looked like this. And the other picture she was going to show you was the cow that was like this.
Hold on, let me think. Hold on. You know what I'll do? I'll just put it next to you here instead. I'll add it to where you can do all the talking, and that'll be fine. So let me add you, and then I'll add... It's always so hard with these technical things. I'm telling you, I am a talent, not an engineer for sure. Okay, so I'm going to add you, and I'm going to add these pictures here. Media file. A shot? Can it be a shot? No, it's not a shot. It's not a...
No shot. Picture, if you will, an animal laying in the ground.
How do I add that?
Oh, and just post them later.
No, it's too cool. It's too cool.
Well,
people can hear you right now, so.
No, you can just post them later. That's fine.
No,
I mean, but just
it's right here.
Your mind. Picture in your mind a cow laying on its side with these cut marks on it. But the
I'm going to
main
show
thing
them,
is,
and you can talk about them, though. Okay.
But the main thing is, the exciting part is the animal is not dropped. Now, other investigators in the past, including Linda Moulton, anyway, these animals are dropped. They're not dropped. It's kind of sad how I came up with that understanding. Being a law enforcement years ago, well, 5 years ago was the last time I was in law enforcement. But part of the training is how do you deal with certain situations, and so we'd have training all through the years. And one of the training was on suicides and stuff, so we had to see some video of suicides of jumpers, and every one of them the body's bounced, and depending on the height, depends on. I mean, you could bounce 20 feet in the air. I mean, it's ridiculous, and that's what got me back thinking about that. Thinking, you know what, these things are placed. They're physically placed. They don't bounce. If they were dead, they would bounce. Even if they were completely stiff and they hit the ground, there'd be some movement. So it's an energy source that's physically placing it
down.
And that's cool. I mean, I'm probably the only person that's ever talked about that out of animal mutilation investigators, because I mean that was something that I came up based on my situation as a former cop and seeing that. And then I've done enough of these now that you can clearly see. I mean, these things are laying in the snow and the mud. And there's absolutely no. It's almost a mold of mud or snow that comes up around the legs of the animal, or the torso, or the neck, or the head. Absolutely no movement, no scuff marks, nothing. It's spooky. It's really scary and spooky.
Now let me go ahead and show these. Like, just run through them so people can see them real quick. So don't talk, because nobody will hear you. Okay, is that cool? All right. So hold on. Okay, just so you'll know, no one will hear you. So let me, just for you guys out there watching, let me pass through them. Sorry. Oh my gosh, you got to add mics to every little scene out there. I don't. Oh, I know how to beat that. I know how to beat it. You keep talking. I know how to do this. Go ahead. I remembered.
You remembered, huh?
Yes, I did. I'm so happy I remembered, because I want to do this.
So am I off the screen and you're showing the picture now?
I'm just showing your face, so you're good to go.
You're still showing my face?
Yep. Okay. Everybody's looking at your mug right now.
Okay. Pictures yet or not?
Wait a minute. I'm going to add, got my mug, and then I'm going to add your...
Yeah, and just let me know what picture you're showing, and in that way, sorry about that.
Absolutely. Okay, so
I could probably find some pictures on my phone to show you.
I know. This is ridiculous. Next time I'll have to know that I've got to do that too. I've done a whole nother process from what somebody taught me, and you learn as you go. And that's live for you, right? That's
hey, it's nothing better than live stuff.
It's true. It'll drive you nuts, though. Okay, let's see if I can even add that to this. Okay, so So let me see if I can pull this over, and go ahead and say something there, Chucky.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me still?
Okay, so I believe they could hear you. So this is the, and you guys let us know. Thank you for letting me know. Great people in our live chat. Let me know if you guys hear both of us talking. Well, you know what? Let me hear. Hold on. Okay, there you are, or me. Okay, let's see if I can even add that to this.
Oh, there's a delay.
Yeah, there's a delay.
In case I say something bad, you can...
like you did earlier.
Oh, no.
Oh, there we go. Okay, great. So we're on. So I'm showing right now the picture that is like the pressed in, the full cow, I guess, in the crop circle.
Oh, okay. Does it show the truck in the background or something?
No. It looks like a mutilated cow that is squashed and kind of all over the place, and it looks like it's in a circle, in the midst of a little circle.
Okay. I have no idea. But okay.
No, it's got a blue tag on it, and it's the full body of it from above.
I was trying to bring up the pictures that I sent you, but I can't find them. I might have pulled them off my phone.
It looks horrendous. It's got the bones down at the bottom. It's got all the legs spread. Almost looks like it's got 3 legs down at the bottom.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary. Is that mine? No.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody's want to know, is that a cow? Is that a deer? I believe.
No, they're all cows.
Okay.
What I was trying to find, there was one that's a horse that I sent you, and that was the one where you see the anal area is kind of bloody looking. That one was the one that happened in April in West Cliff, Colorado. And I apologize for not looking up the camera. What I was trying to do was to see where I sent you this stuff to look at these pictures.
If you look at Blue Rock Talk right now, live, you'll see it.
Oh, I guess I should actually open that up.
Hello. Wake up.
But you know what's
Real
cool
investigator,
huh? You want to know what I'm doing when I'm talking to you? Is I've got Google up and Yahoo up, and I'm researching stuff while I'm talking to you.
Dude.
To get you the best information. Actually, I have my websites up in a couple of different spots too, in case I get the dates wrong. I hate to be on a show and be off on the dates, especially when I'm the guy that did it. But there's just so much stuff going on. Is it bluerocktalk.com?
Yeah, Blue Rock Talk. Go to YouTube. I can't believe I'm telling you how to go there.
No, I know.
UFO nut. Go to YouTube and then go Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. And those of you just joining us, while he goes and looks for that, I won't let him babble to you. Let me let you know what's going on. This is Chuck Zukowski, and we're talking to him about cattle mutilation. I'm going to say it again. Cattle mutilation. And he's researched them extensively. Years ago, I had met him, and he showed us areas of where they were. I don't remember seeing one, but I remember we were really intense in all the talks. There was so much stuff that you were telling us that you had learned along the way, and it was just fantastic to travel through the country that time in my life, and one of the times was stopping there, and you were telling us all sorts of stuff and taking us around, and that was fantastic. So now he's looking at the pictures, and he's going to see where the pictures are. So do you see the one we're looking at right now?
Yeah, let me, I gotta just mute this thing because,
okay.
There, no, okay. Oh yeah, okay. Now this was the one this was cool. This was the one that just happened, in the 14th of July. Now, you can see the anal area, the whole back. What happened there is the night before I showed up, a bear had got to it.
Oh.
So that's what that is. This was and the reason why I wanted to show this is because you'll hear some investigators go, "Oh, predators and scavengers, they won't touch these things. They're magical." No, that's not true. They do get, there is scavengers that will go. Now, what's interesting is other cows won't go near it, but coyotes and bears will. Now you can see the jawline now they, for whatever reason, they left that area alone, and they left the front. Then they went to the back half. The bear did, so I thought that was kind of interesting. that they, and the real anomaly is the jawline in the front. This particular one, this is I was able to, and I think I sent you another picture which is a little higher up. This was this was probably the second investigation I was able to use my new Phantom drone with 4K. So back in it, before
we're looking at the close-up. We're looking at that close-up.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't.
Delay.
Oh, must be a delay then. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, I didn't have the opportunity before to be able to see a bird's eye view of the animal. I had to stand on my back of my truck or something. So I was pretty excited. I to use a drone and get up there, and I was able to get up a couple hundred feet up. And I'm still looking through some of the drone footage to look for any type of anomalies. What's interesting about this animal is it's close to trees, so they don't necessarily. This is the second time at this ranch where he's had a mutilation case where the animal was near a tree. Now, if it was dropped, it would hit the side of the tree and come down. So that's why it's kind of interesting stuff. The person that I talked to, the multimillionaire, the other guy,
that's how he's known.
He was told, yeah, see, there's kind of a close picture of the jawline. There's like a vortex or an opening that opens up, and then the animal is put back. That's the energy source that the military's picking up, that they can see via satellites, and that's how they can triangulate where the locations are and send out the helicopters.
There's my question again with the crop circles. They are finding this white stuff, this white residue, white powder. And I'm curious if you've ever found a white powder around any of this.
Not around animals. I heard about that. I've looked for that. Okay. And there's all kinds of goofy things that have, that can pertain to that. They're talking about burned ozone and some really bizarre things. So I'm not really quite sure. At one point, people were saying they were picking up micrometeorites, and I've never ever picked up any micrometeorites from the craft had the animal up in space, and as it was flying down and dropped off the animal, that it picked up these micrometeorites. Now, I've never seen that, and I've never picked up anything like that. But that was the other investigators. Most of the time with these animals, it's basically just different cuts. Now, there's actually no reason at all for a scavenger. I've never heard a case since I've been doing these investigations that a mountain lion or a bear has taken down a cow. Okay, they don't do that. What the ranchers have to worry about are coyotes. Now, the coyotes won't take down a 1,000-pound animal. What they do is if a cow is giving birth, they'll be around the outside area, and they'll wait till the newborn calf drop down. As soon as it drops down, they run in from hiding around trees, and they grab the calf and go. They're not like standing right next to the cow because the cow won't, shoot them off. Yeah. Right. So they're hiding, and then they come out and do that. That's the only case where scavengers will come in and get a cow, but it's a newborn calf.
That makes sense. Yeah. Right now we're showing. I just want you to look at the pictures real quick here, so people will know what we're seeing here. We're looking at your truck right now with, I guess, a cow.
Yeah, now if you look really, really close on this one, you'll actually see a round depression around that animal.
I see it. Yeah, let me try to go in deeper.
And so that one does. That one has a. And I just kind of threw that picture in to show you. You can see the round depression, and it kind of show your audience, the terrain, the area that some of the area. Now, I've actually done some investigations, 2 of them that were up in the mountains. Which was kind of interesting, up in the pine trees where the animal was mutilated. So not all the ranches actually look like, cowboy ranch. But that's a particular case where I took samples inside and outside. And that kind of gives the viewers also some of the idea of what I have to bring with me. when you do investigations like this and you decide you want to go into animal mutilations and even Bigfoot too, you better have a 4x4 because that's where you're going to go.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, don't be calling Uber.
Uber, I'm going Bigfooting. Yeah, well, that's going to cost you now.
And so it's really a change of life, which you have to do.
It is. You're right, and it's good to be in the right areas for all that too. Now I'm showing what I think you said was the horse.
Oh, that's okay. That was the horse. I haven't seen it yet, but that would be the April. And what's interesting about that, the reason why I rolled on that at first was the rancher told me that the horse was pregnant. And then when the vet did an necropsy on it, the vet said the horse wasn't pregnant. Oh. And which means that the colt was taken. And so I got to go on this and see that. Now, when I got there, there was a couple of red flags that popped up. There was people that remembered earlier in the year in January seeing a mutilated animal, a cow that depicted the cuts and the whole bit. But I couldn't get pictures to verify it because they're kind of afraid to talk to me. But then the horse, it's really hard because I talked to the vet. The vet said there was no signs that there's the horse. Actually, that's not the horse. That's actually a mutilated horse. The one that just popped up, the brown one. If that's the one you were talking about, that was from the Rush. That's the Rush incident that happened a few years ago. 2 horses were mutilated, and they were just a few yards away from each other. They're both laying on the left-hand side. They both had the same type of cut marks, and 2 other animals were actually affected, another horse and a dog, but they survived, and they had marks on them. It's really kind of interesting.
Oh, okay. Whoa. So you said they survived, that some animals were around it. They didn't die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really the case. That's where I told you earlier that I picked up some high EMFs from living animals. Those were the animals that picked up the high EMF. Okay. They were still charged. A little border collie dog that's like and then a sibling, or not a sibling, but a sibling.
And they survived. They survived. So here's my thing. Like just recently, I talked to one, and there's some very good animal communicators out there. Have you ever thought to get an animal communicator to go to those dogs that saw that?
Well, yes.
Yeah? How'd that go?
But then again, it has to do with resources. I found one here in Latitude Springs, but I couldn't get enough information on this particular person to verify they were legit. Now, I've dealt with psychics in the past, and I've dealt with people that are intuitives, and I'm very analytical, but so I was even a skeptic for myself. The first thing I do is, I call myself out too. On every investigation, I ask myself, before you say this is what you think it is, you got to go through all the steps to make sure. Because, I'm not one of those people, look, there's a light in the sky, that's a UFO. No, it's not. There's a million other things you can do.
Right, that's true.
So the same thing with psychics too. So, not so much they have to have a good resume, but basically, they have to not prove to me, but at least have some type of a background showing that.
I know a couple.
This is legit.
I know a couple I'm going to set you up with, because that would be great for you to be able to have them after you feel they're legit. Oh, so you do have some?
Well, no. The one in Manitou Springs, I did get that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Okay.
When I talked with her. I did find one in Pueblo that would work with me, but she changed her mind after a while, and she came with some really good references from the people I've worked with, but she had a reading, or something scared her, and because she's a psychic, something scared her, and she didn't want to be a part of it. So there you are. So that was even more freaky when she says no. It's almost like, you're talking about people that remote view, and they remote view something, going, no, I'm not coming over to your house tomorrow night. Or something like that. So it's basically the same thing where she kind of said, no, No.
She didn't want to deal with it.
Well, after she looked into it, maybe
Oh.
psychically, she
gotcha.
came up, she saw something, but something scared. I mean, it scared her that she didn't even want to talk to me.
Man, it's too bad, though. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to tell at that point. I mean, you got to tell what it was. Let me show the last picture here, and it looks like it's a black cow. Let's see. Let me pull it back up.
Oh, I hate my face.
I got your face on there. You don't like your face? Oh, there you go. Here, well, there's a cow then.
I need to change my expression.
So I don't see any markings on this one.
I don't. All I see is my face still, so I gotta wait till
okay.
it catches up. But
There you go.
but for whatever reason, that's not the first time that's happened to me. I had a couple of Native American shaman type people, spiritual, and the first one, and I thought she was just BSing me. She looked at me, she goes, okay, you don't like me right now, but we'll be friends later, but something's different about you. Another one came up, and we were good friends later on, but basically the second one, was a couple of years later, she came over to meet me, and she grabbed my hand, and then she took her hand away from me, and just kind of looked at me, and she's had this kind of like scared look on her face, and then she kind of like, okay, kind of walked away. I'm going, all right, did I use deodorant today?
What is going on, right?
Maybe there's something, I don't know, I have no idea, she later came back and talked to me, and she kind of explained some things to me why she was very standoffish. I had the wrong, as it turned out, what I later learned from both the ladies was they could read people, but they couldn't read me. And,
that's interesting.
And they couldn't read me at all, and it scared them. And I got thinking about maybe that was a psychic. Maybe she was trying to look in, and she couldn't. And she couldn't get to me. She couldn't get me, and so it scared her for whatever reason. And so maybe I had that block, that psychological block.
Maybe so.
Anyway,
maybe so.
Yeah, that was the.
Well, here's
cow.
Here's the cow, and I think it's been split in the gut.
Yeah, this was the Guerin case. This was really interesting. Not every one of the cows will lose its tongue. Most of the times the tongues are cut out, but not every time. This particular one, and it's so cool about this particular case is the udder is missing. And I didn't give you the picture that it was very, very graphic with the blood, and not the blood, but all the fluid from the. It's not really milk, but it's, because she's just giving birth, so I forget what they call it. So it's not full milk, it's whatever it's called. Anyway, moms out there, you know what I'm talking about. So what happened was this particular animal had given birth the night before.
And where was this?
That night. This was over by Weston, Colorado.
Okay.
And this was a big corporation ranch, so this was kind of an interesting one that I had to do. But the cow had given birth about 60 yards away from this animal. From where the animal was found. So they found the animal, and they saw that the udder had been completely cut out. So all the teats were gone and everything was gone, and it's just an outline of the cut in the skin. And there was no blood on the ground. You can see there's no blood. There's a little bit of discoloration. That's just from the fluids from the animal. And the ranch manager backtracked where the last time, not the tracks. There was no tracks near this animal at all. Just the animal laying there. And backtracked to where the last time he saw the herd, and he found the calf, and the calf was alive.
Oh.
And so, and then he found part of the placenta, or placenta, part of the placenta, and what a mother cow will do is she gives birth, and then she eats the placenta because the placenta gives her the nourishment.
Yeah.
For the calf to survive, and gives her the nourishment to survive too after giving birth.
Yeah,
and
so cats do that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so half the placenta was eaten, means that she had given birth and she was in the process of eating that, and then she was taken away from her calf. There was no blood on her, and then the udder was torn out or taken out, and that's where she was found. the calf was still alive, and when I talked to the rancher a couple of weeks later, the calf was still living, so the calf survived. So for all the skeptics out there that said that it's predators, okay, why didn't the predator take the calf?
Yeah.
Why did the predator just take the milk sack from the animal, pull the animal 50 yards away from the calf, leave the calf completely by itself, right? And go after the milk. So, you know, it just, no, Mother Nature doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
No, they would have taken what's easy. And calf survives, and the mother was found just like that. And if you can zoom in, are you doing the zooming in?
I can go, yeah, I did that. You want me to go back to the black cow?
No, yeah. If you zoomed in on one of the hoofs,
okay.
just pick a hoof like this, the one from the back, and you can kind of, what I was talking about, where there's actually no movement or scuff marks in the ground. You know, when you see these things, it's really, really kind of eerie, because you figure if an animal is going to, you know, is being killed, it's going to sit there and move around, and it's going to, you know, there's going to be scuff marks on the ground and stuff. And it's not the case with the true mutilation case. You know, these animals are just laying there. Anyway,
so I got the hoofs. You're saying what about the hoofs that?
Oh, if you look at the hoof,
yeah,
on the ground, and you kind of zoom in on the hoof itself, you can see that you can see there's no scuff marks.
Right.
Anyway, you know, and you would be able to, because the animal is going to fight to survive while they're dying. They're just not going to go dying. Not every single one of them. 10,000 cases at least. And that's what's interesting too. George Knapp, it's probably about 4 years or so ago, he came up with the 10,000, because he's done a lot of research in it. And at first, I kind of thought that was kind of a high number, until I realized what he was saying, and I go, oh my God, that's true. That's exactly what's happening to me. Is for every mutilation case I do, every new one I do, I hear about 2 others or 3 others that happened in the area within the past 10 years or so. So all of a sudden, one becomes 4, or one becomes 10. You know, in some cases. And for every new one, you learn about all these other ones.
And they're still happening. They're still happening. You said this one was just last week.
Well, not this particular one, but the one that I showed you earlier. Right. Yeah, right. We just had one.
Crazy.
And so, you know, you can physically investigate 10, and then research 50 others, and all of a sudden you're at 60. You know, so I'm in the hundreds.
Wow.
I mean, I physically looked at, gosh, I must be in the 30s at least, that animals that I've seen, you know, face to face, basically. But all the attachments and all the research, or all the investigations, and part of the research of all the other animals associated, I'm in the hundreds, and it's just too many. It's just like.
Are you finding any that? Okay, are you finding any repetition to where it's like, okay, it's this? Are you finding the same area or different areas? Is there any pattern, or they just go in to get the cow? They don't. It's just wherever they are. And
yes. I had a case a couple of years ago in West Walsenburg, where there were 8 cows that were killed within a week, mutilated.
Wow.
It was, let me think about it. It was
8.
Yeah, wait. It was 4, 2, 2, 4, 8. 2 on one ranch, 4 on another ranch, and 2 on another. And I was able to look at 6 of them, because the other 2 was on private property and I couldn't get permission. Oh. I couldn't find the rancher. And no, I won't, you know, trespass to this, because once you start breaking the law, you start doing things, and you. If you
you're
don't
not
do
credible.
Things, well, you're not credible.
Doing that as well.
You're not credible at all. So basically, what was interesting was even though they were killed within a few days of each other, they were all lying on the same side. They were all pointing east to west, which most of my cases are pointing east to west. Majority of them, 90% of them are, except for maybe the ones that might have been moved, are pointing east to west. And then these particular cases, they're all lying on the same side, and they all had similar marks. This one was way cool. This was a really, really good investigation. To tell you how how sometimes you have to do an investigation. Is I found out, I had heard that there was a mutilation or something happened in Walsenburg, and so I took off of work. I went right now, went home. I grabbed my stuff.
Good for you.
Well, that's when you're your contractor. You have that opportunity, and I had no idea. I knew the general area, but I had no idea because people weren't talking. And I parked my truck out in the middle of a ranch field, or not ranch field, a ranch road, waiting for a vehicle to come by. And I was moving around. It was kind of cool. It only took me about 30 minutes or so. I bounced around from one ranch to another one until someone was passing me, and I flagged them down, and I asked them. And then they led me to another, and it was all footwork, and that's how I was able to find them all. Wow. And that was just, that's footwork. That's what sometimes you got to do. You got to get out there. You got to be a talker. You got to be able to be a person to just walk up to someone completely unknown and just start a conversation with them, a crazy conversation.
Yeah.
They're like,
who is this dude? Hey, I used to be in law enforcement. You got to throw out all those things, right? Well, is there anything that leads you ever to where you go, it's a pattern of, it's going to happen again here. I know it's going to happen over here or this time. Does anything lead you into that, or is it just all over the place?
There is a pattern. Generally, if one happens in an area, you might get another two in the area, or you may get another two within a week in a different state. But there's always a pattern of there's usually three, or sometimes four. This particular case in Walsenburg, there was 8. But my pattern, I've always seen like 3 and 4 generally. But there actually were a couple of cases where one happened in Colorado, and within a few days, one happened in Kansas. And then one happened in Colorado, and a couple of days later, one happened in Missouri. So that actually happened.
Well, do you remember Philip Snyder?
Yeah.
He talked about that they would eat us and they would eat animals and things like that. Do you think some of this could be, I'm going back to it again, they like the blood, they like a delicacy of maybe a tongue every now and then or something like that? I don't mean that in any gross way or anything. I'm serious.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stuff about grays.
Because we do that,
Yeah, we do that. But, I've talked to Glenn Dennis, with Roswell, and what he told me that, they didn't really have a digestive tract, and maybe they took their food by osmosis, like,
That's the grays.
Yeah, the grays, right.
What if it's reptilians or...
Supposedly the reptilians ate humans. So that's what the Native Americans said, that the snake people actually ate humans. Actually, so did Bigfoot, but we won't go into that. Bigfoot may not be as lovely as most people think it is.
Well, some people say that's all they are is love, and other people say and then, I think there's different personalities in each one of them, so I don't know. But
I was working with a guy named Joe Fex. You probably remember meeting him at the time, but he's in Florida now, but he's a Bigfoot investigator. Not to jump from cattle mutilations, but he actually found some stories through Native American history where there was fights between a Bigfoot clan and Native Americans, and what Bigfoot would do was they would have these like wicker type baskets. They would weave these big baskets, and they'd have them over their over their back, and there was sharp spikes in the basket, and they'd come over and pick up the Native Americans and throw them in the back of the basket.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a old storybook, like Hansel and Gretel or something, and they passed it down. That's awful.
And I actually got to see 2 police reports out of Tennessee, up in the Appalachians, of kills, of human kills, or dead humans. One hunter came by, and he found a torso of a human embedded in a hole of a tree, packed in there, and the limbs were ripped off and they were put on the branches. And then the gun was broken and laying in front of almost as if it was like a warning to other hunters, stay out of this area. And bottom line is, you don't shoot a Bigfoot. Don't ever. It's like blazing saddles. You don't shoot Mongo. You'll just piss them off.
That's right, Mongo. I forgot about Mongo.
And then the other case, there was a case. The other case I read was a couple, not a young couple, was on a day hike, and they were hiking through a portion of the Appalachians and kind of doing a loop, and they came out of the woods into an opening, a meadow, and there was a Bigfoot there that had just killed a deer. I assume he just killed deer because he was picking it up and putting it over his shoulder, and the boy was just in shock. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, and the girl was screaming, and Bigfoot walked over and picked up the girl and broke her in half and dumped her body there, and then went back and picked up the deer and took it off. Now I'm reading this report. This is what the witness said. This is what the sheriff seemed to think what happened was it was a bear. The bear got up on his hind legs, walked over, killed the girl, walked back over to the deer on his hind legs, and then carried the deer off. Because the sheriff couldn't believe that it could be a Bigfoot doing that, so it must have been a bear walking on its hind legs that did all that. Mm-hmm. Yet, the witness said, no, it wasn't a bear. And the bear didn't touch him at all. She was the one that was panicking. She
was the one screaming, yeah.
She was the one screaming. He stopped, or whatever. It could have been a female, I don't know. But, Bigfoot stopped the screaming. Let the kid alone. Let the boy alone.
Wow.
The power to be able to pick up a person and break them, and the power to rip appendages off a person, another person really can't do.
Right.
They need some help, rope or something.
That's
but
right.
You can't grab somebody, rip their arm right off. I guess if you're pretty strong and if the kids...
Well, animals don't do that either. They're not like, they're going to eat it, and they're
no,
not
but
going to be stuffing
this was
it in.
Clear. This was a male.
Where was this?
Male. This was in Tennessee, in the Appalachians in Tennessee. Yeah, both cases were, and it was one of those rare cases where I was it was like, you can't have these, but you can read these. And so I got to read both case reports, and it's because at the time I was with the law enforcement that the person who showed it to me was also involved in law enforcement, so it was just one of these things where, it was a courtesy thing.
That's so nice.
But I couldn't. But it's one of these things like and normally I don't tell that story because I don't want to freak people out. Like you say, some of the things you kind of keep to yourself, and I usually keep that to myself. But I want to let people know out there that that Bigfoot may, if you see a Bigfoot, for gosh sakes, don't shoot at it.
No.
But
never, no kill.
Yeah, but I haven't heard cases. I haven't heard cases where if a Bigfoot's off at a distance, that they come attack you or anything. They just try to keep you out of their area. I mean, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, walking through the woods, and the pine cones are being thrown at you, it's a good idea to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Or a tree log. That's been the case too, where these big trees. Up in where I'm at in Bailey, we saw broken aspen trees just snapped and laying on the ground. I mean, they weren't.
That's something.
It was kind of interesting where we were, the power they had. So, think of a chimpanzee. A chimpanzee could probably rip our arms off.
And just go nasty on you, man. Those things, they just are bad. They're bad. Well, listen, Blue Rockers, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. This is our signature night, our Far Out Thursday. We've been talking with Chuck Zukowski about animal mutilations. We've been talking about UFOs and different aliens and Bigfoot and all sorts of neat things. Always fun to talk to Chuckles. And you know what, Chuck? I know you and I can go on and on and on, and we're just about at the 3-hour mark. So, will you come back?
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I kind of want to, we didn't get a chance to talk about.
Yeah, the parallel.
There's a book out there called The 37th Parallel. And earlier in the show, Connie talked about connecting the dots. Well, connecting the dots is what got me my own 1-hour show on the Science Channel on Unexplained Files Season 2, and it was called The Paranormal Highway Across America. Well, basically, an executive producer in Hollywood saw that episode, thought it was pretty cool, researched me, and decided that it'd be pretty cool to do a movie about that. So part of making the movie was he had to hire a New York Times bestselling author, Ben Mezrich, to write a book about it, so they could write a screenplay from the book. It's like the cart before the horse thing, but anyway. So the horse. Yeah. So the book came out in 2016. It's called 37th Parallel. It went to paperback last year, so you can find it anywhere in the bookstores, for under $10 in paperback. And the screenplay has been written, and as of yesterday, the screenplay writer, told me that the third change and final change is being sent back in to New Line Cinema Warner Brothers are the ones that picked it up. So it's not a small production company. We're talking about Warner Brothers. New Line Cinema's got it. So anyway,
I'm so happy for you.
Well,
That's
I mean,
great.
It could take 5 years before they even come out with anything.
It's true.
But
It's true.
the main thing was the book, and I really liked the book because the book talked about my beginning and how I started this, and then it actually shows some cattle mutilation stuff in there, and it actually shows some interaction that I had with Robert Bigelow, the billionaire, not the millionaire.
The billionaire, not the millionaire. Don't mess those things up.
And the Roswell stuff. So if you guys get an opportunity, or if you don't even want to bother with that, go to Simon & Schuster and look up 37th Parallel, and I believe the first chapter is for free. You can just read the first chapter.
Is it on Amazon as well, or no?
Well, you can buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, it only has a 3-star rating because most people don't like the ending. For you people, before you read
it, for the truth.
Before you read it, okay, if you want to read it, the ending. This is a non-fiction book. This is real life stuff, and I'm not dead yet. It's okay. So there's no ending.
I'm so glad you're not, because I'd be scared to death right now if you were.
So I'm still doing what I'm doing. So the ending of the book picks that. It picks a little bit of what I have to deal with. In everyday life or everyday life doing this stuff, what I have to deal with. So the Ben Mezrich was trying to give the public, the readers, a little bit of a taste of that. But generally, an ending, you're expecting, okay, an ending.
Ending, yeah.
No, this is I'm not saying
well,
it's
cliffhanger. You got more to go.
Yeah, the ending is guess what? We're still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is so interesting. It is. It's something that I never thought that I would run out there to see them. But it is an interesting part of all of this, and it's certainly a part of all this. And if I ever get a chance to, I would like to see that. I'd like to see the cuts. I'd like to see that kind of thing. I don't, it's not something I long for. I want you to understand that, because that's a tough thing to see, that they did that to these animals. I do think kind of, just my theory, just my thought, and I don't know if it's a permanent theory, but it is just a thought. These things could be just like they take abductees and freeze them or get them in that stuck mode where they don't know what's going on, and maybe they do the same thing with these animals and do whatever they do. There's no pain, there's nothing going on, they don't know anything that's happening, maybe, and maybe the same thing is kind of happening.
And that's absolutely true. I mean,
you know what I mean?
And for the viewers out there too, if you go to my website, UFO Nut, UFO Nut, like an acorn, because I'm a nut, .com, you'll be able to read the last case and the previous case before that, because like I was telling Connie earlier, I do this stuff for me, but then I share all the information to the public, because I think the more the public's aware of it, absolutely, the more the public's aware of it, the more I'll be aware of something happening, because this is what happens. It's a handshaking type of thing where the more people know about it, they contact me and tell me, hey, guess what? This is happening there. This is how we get the information out. Then we get on Connie's show and we share it with everybody else. And then some of you out there maybe you had a case where you came across an mutilation or a probe or Bigfoot or whatever, and you can relate that sometime down the road, related back to Connie.
And hey, Chuckles, it's good to see you again.
Okay.
And it's been a long time. Yeah, and I hope that, I go out with you. I want to go out with you.
Well, no, we're talking investigation. Okay?
Yeah. I don't know, we could also enjoy a steak and potato and things like that, too.
and there you go. Every cattle mutilation investigation I do, I have a hamburger afterwards. Every ghost investigation, I have a drink. We have spirits, and every Bigfoot investigation, we have beef jerky. That's how we roll.
And what is it? What's the brand?
Jax?
It's got to be Jax, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But
those people not only have a sense of humor, but they know Bigfoot to be able to do those commercials like that and allow that. Because it's a big prankster for sure. So
it is.
It is. So you're going to come back again and tell some more stories outside of cattle mutilation, as well as maybe more cattle mutilation, because I'm sure more is going to happen, correct?
Oh, we can talk about Roswell, man. Roswell's a whole other show.
We got all sorts of stuff to talk about. I love it. But you're going to come back? You'll do that,
you
promise?
Well, whatever you want me.
All right. Do the blue rocker salute now. That looks like something else. I don't know what that is, but it's something else.
The shark bites.
That's what it is.
So
Bobby Darin.
Yeah.
All right, don't go away, okay? Don't go
Me?
away. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be right back. All right, don't go away. All right. Thank you, Blue Rockers, for being a part of Blue Rock Talk tonight. I'm like exhausted. That's usually not the case. It's 3 hours long. I could usually keep going, but you know what? I've got these darn contacts in and they're killing me. I just want them out of my eyes. And I love Chuckles. We'll have to, I'm glad that he's going to come back for sure. So if you've just now joined us tonight, Blue Rock Talk, Earth's most interesting conversations. That also includes people, places, and things. And we had good old Chuckles, Chuck Zukowski tonight. And again, he'll be back with us. Now, possibly a Bigfoot Friday tomorrow night. I'll let you know. I got to figure out some of these bugs. I don't like that. Definitely Stan's Bible lecture on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and that is Ain't Your Daddy's Bible study, that's for sure. You can challenge him. All the shows are live. You can totally challenge him on anything you want. Do it then. Don't wait till later when you see him on the crypto shows. Do it then. He's ready for you, and it's always fun that way. You learn so much. And then, of course, Crypto Connie Tuesday coming up on Tuesday, and Wasted Wednesday's coming up soon. I'm still doing some research on that for the first person that comes on. Pretty interesting stuff for sure. A very serious look at the cannabis industry. And of course, we're always going to have really great things here on Far Out Thursday and Signature Thursday. Beyond Coast to Coast, August 11th, going to have William Gazetke back on. We had audio problems with this last week, so we just went, So he's going to be ready to go. We're going to be talking about the crop circles and his filming and his filming techniques. He's a great documentarian. And when he started studying Robert van den Broek, it's Baroque. He was able, as a documentarian, which is a very rare thing to do, he was able to catch on camera Robert's talents. So that's it's going to be very interesting, and I hope you can look up some of his stuff as well out there, because it'll amaze you. It'll amaze you. And Robert himself, I haven't spoken to him yet. I'm looking forward to it, but they just say he's one of the nicest, kindest, sweetest guys out there. And I'm looking forward to when I do get to talk with him and also bring him here on Blue Rock Talk. So, all right, everybody, have a safe and happy rest of the night. Thank you for being here for so long. I really do appreciate that. And thank you for keeping up with me, telling me when things are going right or when they're not going right. I love that. You guys have been very kind. And thank you, Blue Rockers. We will talk to you soon here on Blue Rock Talk with Connie.